Hello, good evening, and welcome to round number 8 of the Buggyra Zero Mileage GT Cup, brought to you by Buggyra Racing and 301.cz, presented live and in full by simbroadcasts.tv. I'm Peter Butcher, and joining me tonight in the commentary booth is Jack Eyre, Thilo Falkenberg, and Jonathan Palmer. Good evening, everyone.
Hello there.
Good evening.
Hello.
The Buggyra Zero Mileage GT Cup is a 10-race series using the XR GTR car inside the Live for Speed simulator software. Today we're at South City in its long configuration for round 8 of the championship. This track is a 4km or 2.5 mile fictional racetrack based on the streets of West London in the UK. The cars the drivers have been using for this championship is the XR GTR car, a front-engined rear-wheel drive GT car with a 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine producing 490 brake horsepower. Today's event will consist of, as ever, a 20-minute qualifying session, a 5-lap sprint race, and a 90-minute 59-lap endurance race. So I think we're live for qualifying, gents. We'll run down the rest of the championship details in a few moments, but yeah, let's go to the track.
And on the track we have Vytautas Lagutskas starting the first hot lap of this evening. Going into turn 1 there. So this is actually what West London looks like, you say?
So yeah, South City is based on the streets of West London, so yeah, based very loosely, I think, is being generous.
Scolin Roberts, one of the developers, used to live, I believe, in Twickenham. So I don't know if he took some inspiration off of the Twickenham area.
Incredibly tight margin, so you can see no matter where you are, there's very little to no runoff whatsoever. Barriers both sides of the track. So again, we'll see just how drivers fare in race number 1, the short sprint race, only 5 laps. You can guarantee the majority of the drivers will be getting their elbows out, as you can see Isaac Price yielding to Vytautas Lagutskas on the back straight there, just between turns 11 and 12. So yeah, 12 corners, quite a long track, gents. 4 kilometers, 2.5 miles in length, but you know, the majority of this track is not necessarily flat out. It's not as sweeping as you'd find. A lot of the corners are quite low speed traction corners. We'll see again as the tyres heat up in the endurance race how drivers will deal with the heat peak as our first lap goes on the board. Vytautas Lagutskas right at the top now on 1 minute 30.35, just under 3/10 clear of Jan Bukowski in second position. See a few more times being added to the roster there on the left hand side of your screen. Yoni Katia now slots into third position, exactly 6/10 down on pole.
Every single driver on the grid, I imagine, will be opting to do 1 out lap and 1 hot lap in this session, so we'll see plenty of cars tele-pitting back to the pit lane and then going out for a slow out lap as not to overheat their tyres, and then a balls to the wall hot lap. There's plenty of cars on the track, so plenty of people to avoid during their fast laps. 11 times on the board so far, make that 12. So yeah, gents, we're getting to the sharp end of the championship now, and only 3 rounds remain before the champion is crowned, and some awesome racing experiences and cash prizes are awarded to the top drivers. Speaking of the top drivers, here's how things currently stand after the last race at West Hill. Isaac Price currently leading the way with 2,229 points, a pretty meaningless number, but we have to look at the gaps between the other drivers. Vytautas Lagutskas is his closest rival, 34 points behind. Then it's Sami Litmanen, the Finn, in third place, only 5 points behind Lagutskas there. Then we've got Jan Bukowski, he is in P number 4. Then we've got Yoni Katia, Pauli Peltikangas in P6, Pedro Picanco P7, Nico Pantola P8, then it's Kaike Propo in P9, Daniel Balla for Race Green in P10, Levente Toth in P11, and Henry Vertinen rounds out the top 12. There you can see the rest of the drivers that make up the top 24 in this championship after 7 rounds with 3 remaining. And it's probably time to mention our sponsors also. The technical partner for the Buggyra Zero Mileage GT Cup is 301.cz, And other key partners include the Excalibur Army, Slovak Training Academy, Eldis, VAG Logistics Services, K-Check, New Trend, A-Track, GC System, and Yordak. Your race director this evening is Robert Kotlaber, and he's getting ready to be on standby for anything that goes on during this round. So yeah, what an event we've got in prospect tonight, gents, around the tight and twisty corners of South City Long.
Yeah, I'm really curious again to see how the drivers get on in that sprint race, because of course everyone wants to grab the maximum amount of available points, and 5 laps is not a long time to get your way to the top. We'll probably see the top 5 in qualifying maybe reshuffle just a little bit. You can imagine Isaac Price and Vitatas Lagutskas at the top of qualifying will remain at the top at the end of the sprint race. And again, with things being switched up with the random, you want to say random, reverse grid order for the endurance race, of course dictated by the final race time of this 5-lap sprint race down to the 1,000th, so the driver can't exactly deliberately either speed up or slow down on their final lap to induce to kind of, make sure they get the result that they need for the reverse grid. So again, be nice to see again the faster guys fighting their way through in the 59-lap endurance race that we've got later on. But again, Isaac Price at the top of qualifying. So you can see Sammy Littmanen for Sidus now, just trying to get himself into a nice window. Of course, you want to get the best run around turn 12 as you possibly can, because it leads on to the start-finish straight now. He's found himself a nice gap of clean air just ahead, and we'll talk you around a lap of South City Long, SO4. So keeping all the way over to the left-hand side across the start-finish line, trying to get as close to that barrier. It's the shortest way from the start-finish line to turn number 1, which is just here, the left-hander. Keep it completely flat all the way through over to the right-hand side, braking just after the 100-meter board. Get it slowed down. You can see the rear trying to come out, but again, carrying as much momentum as you possibly can through turn number 2. Getting it over to the left-hand side again to get as close to the right-hand side wall through turn 3 as you possibly can. Margins ever so tight here at South City. You can see the back end wants to step out. Whether the tyres are in the perfect window or not remains to be seen. There's traffic ahead now through the double left and the right-hander up to turn number 5 now through split number 1 at 25.38, but again traffic slightly hindering. Luckily I think Sammy Littmanen was able to get away with that now down through turn number 8 on the run down to the downhill braking zone before the really sharp right-hander that is turn number 9, trying to again fight the car as you get the traction down through again turn number 10. And again, you want to try and get as much momentum through turn number 11 because you've got such a long straight separating turn 11 through turn 12. But again, across split number 2, it's a 58.20 for the man who currently sits in 7th. Keep an eye on where they brake. Looks to be about 70 meters again into turn 12. Trying to keep as tight as you possibly can, but not too tight to run on that inside curb can unsettle the car on the way out. But again, a nice run through turn 12. Keep it flat through the kink, and again over to the left-hand side to complete a lap of South City Long, and that puts Sammy Littmanen. I think he retains. He does move all the way up to first position with a 30.24. What a fantastic lap!
What a lap!
So just 100ths faster than Isaac Price means Sammy Littmanen is on pole position as it stands. However, there's 10 minutes remaining in qualifying, so should be enough time for drivers to get about 3 more qualifying runs in. Of course, we know fast laps around mid to low 1 minute 30. You'd expect an out lap to be about 10 or 15 seconds longer than that.
The traffic on Sammy's lap, very quick to realise that Sammy was on a lap behind him. That car was also on a lap, so he didn't have to move out of the way, but it was good to see that. Didn't hinder Sammy's quick lap, and yeah, really tight margins at the top with half of qualifying to go.
Isaac Price just coming to the start-finish line. He's going to start another timed lap. So he will have seen that Littmanen has picked him to provisional pole. And Isaac with a fair bit of clean road in front of him. There's a gaggle of cars on outlaps in front of him, but he may not catch them until the second sector. So The first sector is the tightest and twistiest part of the circuit, and as Isaac heads through the classic section and the double left-hander and a right-hand flick back, 25.19 first split for Isaac Price through that first sector.
Yeah, that's a very fast split time as well for split number 1.
Yeah, track opens up here a bit and just flat out a few left-hand kinks and hard on the binders for one of the slowest corners on the track, down to about 75 kilometers an hour for the hairpin. Then into the long route over and up the motorway. He's got Yaroslav Donelik that will yield to him as they come up the on-ramp. And with a 57.74 split, this might see Isaac towards the pole if he can keep it together through the final corner, 180 degrees around the roundabout, off the motorway.
Yeah, I think the 1 minute 30.26 that Isaac's set so far as he just gets on the power a little bit too early and clouts again the outside wall with his right rear. That might hinder his lap time, but again, I think the 1 minute 30.26 that he's set so far was his first attempt across the start-finish line. It is a 30.05, and
wow.
Again, what an improvement, and 0.2 or 0.19 of a second clear of pole position. What a fantastic lap. Can anybody get into the 29s?
And don't forget, he smashed into the wall quite heavily, so probably a further 1 or 2 tenths were stuck in that guardrail.
Yeah, of course, as he hit that outside wall with the rear right, will have scrubbed a few kilometres off, and of course, on the exit corner, most crucial part for the top speed at the end of the straight, of course. Currently right on board with Tautas Lagutskas, the man who was on pole earlier before filtering down into 3rd position. He needs to improve by 0.3 of a second to find himself in pole position, but again, just over a tenth he needs to improve to get himself onto that front row.
It was Nico Pantola crashing into the wall ahead of him. That would have put him off a little bit. Luckily it's a straight bit of road, so not too much to do. It does beg the question of how Nico managed to put it in the wall, but there we go. As Lagutskas takes a wide line out of the final corner. I guess I'll take this one since everyone else basically has had a go at doing an onboard. So around this tight and twisty section at the end of the lap towards start finish, maxing out all the revs between gear changes, keeping all the pressure in that turbo as we head down under the bridge for turn number 1. Perfectly flat out in this car, big wings, keep it stuck to the road, a lot of traffic ahead which waits at the end of pit lane. Into turn number 2, hard on the brakes, doesn't hit the wall on the exit, that's great. Then 2 right-handers to come, really tricky. The outside wall here creeps up on you and he avoids it nicely. Then we head into this swimming pool bus stop chicane section. Go ahead, Jack.
It can also put you off a bit because there are curbs on the inside of the second double left-hander, but that double right-hander earlier in the lap, there are no curbs on the inside. The only thing you're going to hit is the apex wall itself, and that can cause a lot of damage in the race. And of course, you want to be right on that limit.
Down to the hairpin now, braking for this tricky right-hander. Chucks the car in, loads of slide there. And as we head out onto the bridge section of the lap, it's looking like a bit of a scrappy middle sector, I have to say, from Vitalis Lagutskas, but let's see. He's the one in the car, he'll know if it's any good. Only
There's a
1 corner to go.
58.29 so far, so I don't think it's going to be enough to challenge Isaac Price. I believe Isaac Price's second split was in the 57s. So we're looking about 3 or 4 tenths down at least on that. But with Isaac Price throwing a little bit of time away in that final corner, touching the outside wall, Tautas Lagutskas might not be able to pit pole position, but might be able to improve on his lap time so far. About to cross the line now, and it's a 1 minute 30.35, so it's exactly the same time that he set earlier on. He retains 3rd place for now, but again, still enough time for drivers to have another go. 5 minutes and 20 seconds remaining qualifying, so again, we expect an outlap to be about 1 minute 40 to 1 minute 50. And as long as you cross the start-finish line before the timer runs out, you have enough time to complete the lap.
It is a long pit exit here, with a very, very, let's say, tricky left-hander here to come down the bridge and rejoin the track. Car gets a little light through there, and
yeah,
it's
it's
easy
right
to
at the crest
wall
as well. Yeah, so again, something to watch out for in the pit stop window during the endurance race. That pit exit, very narrow, and with the left-hander being quite sharp and at the top of a pretty steep hill. Don't want to see anybody get caught out on cold tyres, potentially thinking they've got more grip than they have.
Yeah, and the pit entry is short, but it's very tight, and it's a very, very wild pit entry, really.
Yeah, and again, if margins are close and you're around other drivers as well, you need to make sure you're on the left-hand side of the track to commit to the pit entry, because you don't want to be going all the way over to the left and jamming the brakes on in front of a pack.
Isaac Price improved his time to a 1:30.01, and Sammy
But
Lipman has just come
Lipman has
across the
just
line
pipped it.
and smashed it at the park with a 29.96. So it's on. Both of the top two guys are improving their lap times, and Jan Wikowski also up into P3. That pushes the Gutskas out of the top three and almost onto the third row of the grid, gents.
Yeah, but so far the top four are made of the top four in the championship standings, with Littmannen in P3 currently on the provisional pole position.
We're
And
used
it
to
looks
seeing.
at least the top four only separated by just shy of 4/10. It's not a lot. A lot can be made up for as well in the sprint race. Of course, with the starting procedure that we have, all is to be played for, at least down into turn number one. And it's yeah, you do want to be on that front step, but again, there's a lot to be gained if you are on the second row, of course.
Yeah, we talked to a few drivers after the last round, and a common theme seemed to be that they didn't really think that the reverse grid start for the endurance race was going to cause that much of an issue, because there are still places to overtake around here. So we don't think it's going to be as tricky as maybe some people have thought to get past during the endurance race, but time will tell. We will find out.
And of course, there's a lot more variables that go into the overtaking action rather than just the track that we run at, of course. Cold tyres, driver ability, just other things can of course induce overtakes. But we should see a lot of overtakes into turn 12, some maybe into turn number 2, and the track widens up between turn 8 and 9. But again, there's a downhill braking zone into that hairpin that is turn 9, the tight right-hander. I wonder if drivers will be adjusting their bias on the fly, maybe.
With 2.25 minutes left in the session, if you're not happy with your lap, you better get back to the pit lane and come back out, or you're not going to get another try. Laguskas and Price both not liking the last hot laps they're on while we were having our discussion, and immediately spectating and rejoining before completing that lap. Mikowski is on a flyer right now, and Lippmann also on a flyer right now. Lippmann clips the barrier coming onto the back straight in the South City Classic section.
Pedro Picanco now moves up into third position with a 1 minute 30.19. Again, just 1/100th faster than Jan Mikowski in P4. Picanco currently on the second row of the grid.
So Lippmann.
Apologies for the overlays there. It seems some of the server settings have changed while we've been on air. So we'll have to bring you the order of qualifying as it happens, I'm afraid. Last couple of minutes of the session then. And yeah, take it away,
Isaac
Deco.
Price.
Oh! Jan Wikowski into pole position,
Oh, wow.
1:29.87.
9/100ths faster than that blistering time from Sammy Lippmann that we saw a few minutes ago. Jari Katila also improving to 12th position now. So your top 5 at the moment is Jan Mikowski in pole position, Sammy Lippmann in second place, with Isaac Price in third, Pedro Picanco for Road Appraisers in fourth, and Vitatas Lagutskas in 5th position. Again, the top 5 separated by just over half a second.
Yep, Laguskas just ahead of Price on the road, and Isaac Price is on a flying lap now. He's going to be the last one of our top group to complete a lap, I believe. And so Laguskas is just ahead of him on the road. So let's see what Laguskas can do. Laguskas coming onto the motorway now. We do apologize for the technical difficulties we're having. Laguskas with a 58.18 second split, so I think that lap will not be good enough. Isaac Price with 58.05, and see if either of these two drivers can pull a rabbit out of the hat in the last couple sectors. Or corners, excuse me. Isaac clouts the wall coming out of the final corner. Laguska the first across the line. See if he improves his time at all. Nope, he spectates immediately. Isaac Price across the line with a 30.27, not an improvement. And it looks like we have only a couple more cars left to take the flag, so we're pretty well set.
Looks as though
Jeff and Jacob
Jacob
will be last.
for Race Green Autosport, just rounding turn 12. At the moment, he currently sits in P13, so 1 minute 31.65 to beat, 59.17 middle sector. Looks to be sizing up as a potential improvement, but we'll see as he crosses the line now. He moves up to 11th position.
31.36. So qualifying is over. All cars have completed. Jan Wikowski and Sami Litmanen will make up the front row, separated by just shy of 100th of a second. And so Jan Wikowski on pole with a 1 minute 29.87. Sami Litmanen second with a 29.96. Isaac Price third, just outside the 29s with a 30.01. Pedro Picanco in P4 with a 1 minute 30.19. Peltikangas in fifth with a 30.31. Laguskas coming out sixth with a 1:30.35. Seventh is Yanni Katia, 1 minute 30.53. Energy Virtual Racing's Kike Parapo with a 1 minute 30.6. Conquest's Prismac Vidaviars in P9 with a 1:31.09. Daniel Bala of Race Green in 10th with a 31.16, and his teammate Jeff and Jacob in 11th with a 31.36. 31.5 for Radek Lauki in P12. Yari Katia, Yanni's dad, P13 with a 31.57. 31.77 for Yaroslav Dunelik for 14th. 15th position, Sean Lee of Air Attack Racing, 31.84. Fortes in P16 with a 31.98. Lauki in Pavel Lauki in 17. Lauski, excuse me, in 132.82. And Nico Pantola coming in 18th with a 33.05. Bob Vincent, 19th with a 33.19. Dan Michael in P20 with a 136.34. And 21st and last in the qualifying timesheet, Paolo with a 138.89.
So Jan Wikowski and Sami Litmanen both at the top there, first and second, the only drivers to break into the 1 minute 29s in that qualifying session. Isaac Price again just missed out on the 29s by 1/100th of a second. Curious to see what he can do from third position, of course, with the starting procedure that we have, whether that would make a difference coming into turn number 1. Of course, it's not a huge run down to turn 1, and it's flat out. It should be anyway, but again, just tighter than 90-degree left for turn number 2. We'll see how cars filter in again. Want to be careful on the exit. No runoff. You can't run wide. There is a concrete wall. So we'll be back in just a second when our 5-lap sprint race gets underway. Don't go anywhere.
Hello and welcome back to round 8 of the Buggyra Zero Mileage GT Cup. We're about to get underway here for the start of the 5-lap sprint race. And I think JP is going to take us away for the start. So over to you, Deco.
We're just doing the lag start now. So we're just waiting for that procedure to finish. I don't know what the other gents in the box with me think, but I'm really thinking that the sprint race probably won't have the biggest issue. I'm going to be more worried about the enduro, but that first sector of this lap will be, let's just say, kind of incredibly crazy. It's not a full 30-car grid, but I'm definitely thinking that someone might try to get a little too greedy on a start or in the early section. The track width never changes, but because of the kink on the way to the dip under the bridge, the road does narrow virtually. So we're about to restart now into the race. Wachowski and Litmanen on the front row. Isaac Price third, and Pedro Picanco in fourth. So the grid is formed, and we watch for the lights for this 5-lap sprint race here at South City Long. Thank you for being here with us for Buggyra for the antepenultimate round. All lights are red, and it's green. Let's get it on. We have Wachowski with a great start. A lot of wheel spin from Litmanen as he heads down to turn one. Everyone settles single file. And it looks like the majority of the field is clear into the first corner, and we brake hard for the hairpin at turn 2. Wachowski with the lead. Price sneaks up the inside of Litmanen, crowds him into the wall a bit.
Traffic
Litmanen
jam
back
at the
to
back.
third, and we have a Schmalzl coming through
Red
the
flag,
back.
red flag, red
Spun,
flag.
and we have a red flag. Race has been stopped. We've had a major incident of some sort at the back. Yari Katia has dropped all the way to the back, and we have multiple cars started, so we're going to have a race suspension and a complete restart here very shortly.
So again, cars will line up on the grid one more time for an attempt at a clean start now. Looking at Isaac Price and Sammy Litmanen last time around, not afraid to get their elbows stuck out. Hopefully this time we'll be cleaner. Watch for the lights.
Yeah, it's never good to see an aborted start. We don't like those, but good call from the race director. And let's try and get this one underway cleanly.
And
Lights
it's
out.
green lights. Away we go once more. Wachowski with another great start. Litmanen tucks in right behind. So the top 5 getting all line astern side by side between Peltikangas and Laguskas as they head down for the charge once again to turn number 2. Let's see if they can do this one any better. Daria's Bala getting a little hip check, hockey style going on. Looks like we're clean through turn 1. Wachowski leads, Price now second. Litmanen, Picanco, and Peltikangas as they head into the tight, twisty middle part of the circuit, and some clattering off the walls. Yeah, it looks like we do have a clean start this time. The order as they come across section.
Oh, and contact between
one.
Vitatas Lagutskas and Peltikangas. Vitatas Lagutskas dropping down the order now. Was left out on the outside of turn number 4.
Yeah, he's got some heavy front end damage on that car. It's unlucky. I mean, he's been lucky in certain sense because he's still within the hot seat for reverse grid pole potentially, but he could come unstuck and unlucky with that. He's going to have to get through and into the top 10. He really needs that. He goes around the outside of Nova, and we've got a race green car backwards there. That looks like Daniel Balla and Yaroslav Donelik maybe also going very slowly through there.
Yarda was stopped at the double right-hander.
So Lagutskas back into P10. Meanwhile, at the front, go Jack.
Yeah, Sammy Litmanen around the outside of Isaac Price, trying to make it work around the outside of turn 12. Just doesn't quite get the power down as he needs on the exit, and Isaac Price, with the tighter inside line, retains second position, but nothing left on the table for these guys to give on lap number 1. Jan Wachowski leads from Isaac Price, from Sammy Litmanen. Down in 4th, Pedro Picanco just dropping back a little bit. The gap is about 1.6 seconds now from 4th to 1st, but top 3 not separated by a lot.
No, there's nothing between these guys. That's what we like to see. Top 3 right there. Sammy Litmanen hassling the back of Isaac Price, but Isaac's eyes will be firmly focused on the rear end of the yellow and white Conquest Racing car.
Jan Wachowski slightly wide through the initial left-hander of the double left-hander that makes up turns 5 and 6, but again, it paid dividends on the second apex, just able to carry a bit more speed, and you can see the gap to Isaac Price in increases ever so slightly. But again, we'll see what happens down into the braking zone for turn 9. It's a downhill braking zone, very easy to lock up, and you can see just how close Sammy Lippmanen is to Isaac Price contact there.
Nico Pontola upside down.
Nico Pontola upside down looks like on the exit of turn number 6, but we'll stay with the battle at the front now. So Isaac Price hits the wall. It looks like Sammy Lippmanen's going to maybe be in a position to attack now into turn 12.
Yeah, he's
Isaac
going
scrubbing a
defensive.
few Ks off, moves all the way over to the left-hand side to make Sammy try the long way around the outside for the second lap in a row. Can he get it done this time? Side by side at the braking point. Isaac not as tight as he was last time. Millimeter precision, but again managed just to leave Sammy Lippmanen out on the right-hand side of the track as long as possible. Again, though, retain second place, but these guys still battling. Jan Mikowski in the lead's not getting away whatsoever as we cross the line. Last time the gap was 0.32. Again, this time it is exactly 0.32 again, but Isaac Price, a massive run now up into turn number 2.
Oh, he's gone deep. Oh, I thought he had. Gets it back tight on the exit. It was a big lock-up a little bit there.
Jan moving to the right-hand side to defend into turn 3. Isaac looking for the switch back. Again, looks like he's got a nose alongside. Is he going to try and send it? This contact between the two.
Contact
Sammy
Isaac
Lippmanen, though, on the right-hand side of Isaac Price.
Well, very nearly tipped Isaac over.
Yeah, they need to be
Sammy
careful
Lippmanen
here.
can keep it here. He's going to be on the inside for the second right as this
More
contact between the
contact.
two. Watch for Pedro
Pedro up to
Picanco, though. He
P3.
moves up into 3rd position. Jan Mikowski will be rubbing his hands together. There'll be a huge grin on his face, but Pedro Picanco hits the wall on the exit of 7 now. As we round the left-hander for turn 8 on the way down to that downhill braking zone. Isaac Price again looking to make it side by side. Who's going to get away with it?
Yanni Catilla's going to be licking his lips here as well. P5.
He's just
All
been
about the
watching
run
this
now.
ahead.
Oh, and
and
Isaac
he's-
had to check up, so Picanco's extended that gap a bit, and Yanni Catilla's right on the back of Isaac Price, who looks to have at least some cosmetic damage on the front left of that XRR. Yanni choosing to attempt to help Isaac push him a bit further down the straight. As again we approach turn 12 for the 3rd time. Only 2 laps remain in this race, and Isaac down into 4th position. Sorry, Picanco up to 3rd, but fastest lap of the race so far, Sammy Lippmanen, a 1:30.47. Who's going to improve this time around? It's not a great lap from any of the top 3 in the 31s and 32s now for Sammy Lippmanen. Isaac Price all over the back of Pedro Picanco as we go through the undulating turn 1 into the tight left-hander that is turn 2. Again, I mean, these cars are very hard to control when the turbo pressure gets up.
Isaac's
Again,
got to run.
Price, nice for him to get alongside Pedro Picanco, but not much room. Can't take that corner full speed, even when you're on the inside, having to allow room for the car on the outside up against that wall. Isaac Price just doesn't look like he can find a way through just yet. By the time he's run through this left-hander that is turn 7 now, he can potentially attack on the downhill braking zone into turn 9. Picanco now 2.2 seconds is the gap from Picanco to Sammy Lippmanen, and Isaac Price even a rip of the handbrake there through the right-hander of 9 to try and get that rear to rotate just that little bit more. Clouts the wall once more. I think if he lifted just a little bit, he would have been a couple of clicks faster at the end of the straight. But again, suffering from a little bit of damage on the front left of that car. Sammy Lippmanen trying to catch up to your race leader as Isaac Price goes wide and Yanni Cotilla is through. So Isaac Price now down into, I think that's 6th position.
That's
Yanni Cotilla
P5 for Isaac, and
Could be
Pedro
P6.
Alpo.
Kaike's right there. Isaac goes wide just to make sure that Kaike doesn't pick up all the draft. Look at him, he's weaving all over the road. But I think Kaike's going to be
Mikowski enters the
alongside.
final lap. Isaac's yielding.
Yeah.
And will Peltikangas follow him through as well? Look at the run. Isaac Price moves to the left, brakes a lot earlier. It looks as though he's just sacrificing positions at this point just to try and get to the finish. We are on the final lap of the race.
This will be a good starting position for Isaac in the next race. Don't forget, yes, he sacrificed some places here, but it's not the end of the world for him. Yeah, it's a big deal in terms of the championship for sure, but he's now playing the long game, is Isaac Price.
Yeah, Jan Bukowski just needs to get to the end of this lap and he has the win in the bag. Sammy Lippmanen in 2nd position, about 7/10 back, but 4/10 a lap faster, at least for the last couple laps, is the man in 2nd position. So that gap at the front should be coming down the longer we race. Will it be enough though at the end? I think Jan Bukowski is going to have to make an error for Sammy Lippmanen to have a shot at the victory. One corner separates the drivers now from the start-finish line. Brilliant run from both of the top two now, all the way down to turn number 12. And again, crucial traction point on the exit of 12 to run to the start-finish line. Looks as though Sammy braked a little bit later. He's a little bit tighter on the
That was a
apex as
lot,
well,
yeah.
but it's not going to be enough. Jan Bukowski looks as though he's going to take the checkered flag, but it's all to be played for further back now.
Oh, Isaac and Lagutskas both now trying to let people past.
So Jan Bukowski across the line, finishes first for our initial sprint race here at South City Long. Sammy Littmanen in second position, just half a second shy of Jan Bukowski in first. Pedro Picanco for road appraisers. Brilliant for him to get himself up into third position, starting from fourth. Yoni Katia in P5, making up 3 positions in that race. The race time was 0.6, which means that 16 of the top 16 will reverse, which means, is it Daniel Lukastic?
Yeah,
For
Lukastic
FFM will be on pole position for our endurance race. We'll carry on with the order though. So we finished at Yoni Katia in 4th position. Kaike Propo for Energy Virtual Racing in P number 5. He makes up 3 positions too. Pelter Kangas drops a position from 5th into 6th with Vidoviats for close quarters. Is it close quarters or conquest racing? I think it's conquest racing.
Yeah.
In
Conquest
7th
racing.
position. 8th position is Lutsky. 9th is Sean Lee for Air Attack with Vitatas Lagutskas in a dismal 10th position after dropping 4 positions, from where he started. Yari Katia in 11th position, and Isaac at the end of that, all the way down in 12th position, 15.5 seconds shy of where the leader finished. Fortes for road appraisers in 13th position. Race green duo of Yefin Jakob and Daniel Balla in 14th and 15th respectively. The man on pole position for next race is Lukastic, who finished 16th position. He'll find himself at the very top of the grid come the checkered flag dropping next time around.
I think
Lutsky in 17th, Bob Vincent in 18th, Daniel Mickle in 19th, Yaroslav Donelik 20th position, Paolo in 21st, and Genuine Racing's Nico Puntola 2 laps down in 22nd position.
Thanks for that, Jack. I think on the home straight, Isaac might have been checking the standings to see what the finishing time was, because he was on the anchors coming up to the start finish to try and get that reverse grid pole, and 12th he will start 4th or 5th? 5th.
5th, yes.
Yeah, 5th.
He was actually slowing down and starting the drop going into turn 2 on the last lap. So after he started losing, once he lost to Yanni, he had already made the election to drop back towards at least 10th. And he is a quite rapid thinking driver, so he would have seen the time and would have been able to kind of quickly adjust. So I don't think he had enough time to drop all the way back, but he definitely advantaged himself.
Is it worth sacrificing the points in the sprint race to get yourself a better position in the endurance race, though? Because Isaac Price is the person that you'd expect to,
He isn't sacrificing anything because he already has a good results in the sprint race in his books. We have got 3 drop results.
Yeah, it's going to drop.
So he's not really sacrificing anything at all.
Look at Thilo being assertive. I like that.
Yeah,
I was agreeing with you, Tilo. I was saying I can't see him wanting to sacrifice any positions there whatsoever. He has the drop round results in his favour, and you'd argue is the person in the best position out of everybody here to take the win at the end of the championship. But again, I mean, we've seen him fight through the pack in worse circumstances. I think it's quite easy for him to maybe even start in 22nd position and be in a top 5 position at the end of our long 90-minute endurance race later on. So again, I was agreeing with you there, Tilo. Don't think he was sacrificing any points. He's not the type of driver to do that.
I want to see more of that from Thilo. I love it, Thilo.
Knives out.
I think too we got to consider that by Isaac dropping back, he's going to start 5th. He's going to be the fastest of the group up front. If he can pip the majority of them in the first couple corners, which is entirely likely, because I wouldn't put it past him to, if he can see a safe, clean lunge, he might do. And if he can get into clear air quicker than Littmanen and Wachowski would do, he can start clicking fast laps off and build a big gap before Wachowski and Littmanen get back into the top 5 or 10.
Yeah, I think this opens all sorts of interesting options for Isaac. The others are probably going to be a bit cross because they've got a lot of cars to get through.
Yeah.
But anything can happen at South City.
Yeah, and what I would also like to point out is that it was not only Isaac sacrificing positions.
Sure.
Vitalis Lagutskas was also suddenly starting to drop down the order, and in fact, Sean Lee had to go slalom around those two to finish in 9th position.
Yeah, so some interesting strategies. So yeah, in round about 15 minutes time, we will start the 59 lap endurance race here tonight. So let's quickly go down the standings once again before we take a quick break for the start of the endurance race. Isaac Price leads the way with 2,229 points after 7 rounds. Then it's Vitalis Lagutskas, the Lithuanian, with 34-point deficit. That will have changed slightly because of the positions for the sprint race. Sami Litmanen will certainly be closer after that too. The Finn finished that race really high up and currently sits third in the standings. Then Jan Vikowski, the race winner in the sprint race in P4. Joni Katila for World Class Lions in P5. Pauli Peltikangas for Sidus in P6. Pedro Picanco for Road Appraiser, who had a great race, in P7. Nick Bontola, not such a great race for him. He finished on his roof in P8 overall in the championship right now. Kaike Paroppo P9. Daniel Balla P10. Levente Toth next to his countryman in P11. Then it's Henry Verstanen in P12. There you can see the rest of the top 24 drivers in the championship as they currently stand. And I think, Jack, do you want to talk us through the sorts of prizes that these top guys are going to be grabbing their hands on in just 3 rounds' time, 2 rounds' time now?
So we have plenty of prizes, 5 physical prizes for the top 5, of course, prize money for the top 6, and cryptocurrency prizes for the top 10. So if you come first, you get a chance to drive the Buggyra VK50 race truck. To give you a few figures on that, 1,200 PS and 5,500 Newton meters of torque. And you get 10 laps around Most in the Czech Republic with David Vacevsky coaching you. Alongside your first place prize, you get €1,000 in prize money and 2,100 euros worth of cryptocurrency prizes for first position. Second, I mean, I'd probably want to take second place rather than first, just for the prize, really. You get to drive a Clio Cup car again around Most in the Czech Republic with Thomas Enger coaching you. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's massively different from anything that I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure how the truck racing. I mean, yeah, not something that I'm hugely familiar with. I'd love to.
I think it's a bit of a unique
give a Renault
experience,
Clio
though, right?
Cup car a go. I mean, they're pretty rapid, but yeah, again for the experience, 1,200 PS is well over 1,000 horsepower. We're talking a lot of machinery. I don't know.
I'll disagree. I think I'd rather win. Anyway, carry on.
Get more money anyway, but for second place, of course, Clio Cup car, €500 in prize money and €1,400 in cryptocurrency. Third place gives you a drive in the Can-Am Buggyra MK50 XRS at the off-road area in one of the tracks at Czech Republic. Again, €250 and 700 in cryptocurrency for third position. Fourth, you get a passenger ride in the Buggyra DV50 race truck at Most with David Vacevsky. €125 in prize money and €280 worth of cryptocurrency. And the final physical prize in fifth position, you get a test day, team membership at racetrack in Most. So again, if any of you are in a position to take advantage of that, it could be arguably better than any of the other prizes. If you live local to the Czech Republic, you get a test day team membership pass for Most. And again, €70 in prize money and 210 in cryptocurrency. So plenty of prizes, and those prizes again go all the way down to 10th position. We're just a few minutes away from, I think, the session transition. I'm not sure if the guys have got the times forward. It looks as though we'll just grid up in about 3 minutes and the checkered flag will drop on the hour. So yeah, gents, what do we expect from the endurance race? What do we think the strategy is going to be?
I think there's going to be lots of different strategy. We've heard ahead of the race that a certain driver is going to attempt to do it with no pit stop. Yeah, right. I think it's going to be tricky to do that. Yeah, I don't think it's going to work. I don't know if he's listening, but anyway, I'll go out on the whim and say I don't think a zero stop is the way to go at South City. If he does it, then fair play. But
Yeah, there's a lot of very low speed corners. Like turn 2 is quite sharp. Turn 9 again with that left with the second right hander of turn 10. With 9 being sharp enough, you've got to be very careful to look after the rear tyres trying to get on the traction in quite a few corners on this lap. It's going to be a feat if a driver's going to get to the end on just one set of tyres without stopping. But yeah, 453 brake horsepower per ton is the XRR. It's not the easiest car to drive, and the way the turbo spools up and the way that it delivers the power that it has is quite different from quite a few different cars on of course Live for Speed and other simulators. So again, it's quite it's quite a trick to make the tires last in the XRR because it doesn't behave the way you'd necessarily think
especially
it
around
would.
here.
Yeah, and again with the margins being so tight, any sort of contact that you pick up at any point in the race, you're going to really have to carry that to the pit stop, even if you have time to fix it. So again, it will add up over the duration of the race, the damage and the way you look after your tyres, especially the fuel usage as well. There's areas to save fuel again into turn number 2, into turn 9 and into turn 12 are probably the prime spots for lifting a bit early to try and save some fuel. But we'll see how drivers get on in the 59 laps that we've got coming up on the hour.
Yeah, Tilo Deco, you've watched and commentated on quite a few of races with the tin tops around South City. What do you guys? What are you looking forward to? What do you think we could see? Do you reckon fuel saving will come into it at all?
Yeah. I think fuel saving might be a thing. You can kind of lift and coast into some corners here, but South City always tends to be a bit of a sprint. It is a lot about how you set up after the race start, and then it's a lot about self-preservation. If you can just keep it calm and steady, a lot of times you will finish higher than a driver just pushing all out. Thilo, you'll have a differing opinion or a similar opinion, I'm sure, but I've always seen South City as a Monaco meets Mugello.
Oof. Well, it's definitely one of the faster road courses around. Maybe you could compare it to something like Via Real in Portugal, where they usually do every 2 years some touring car races. Or in some respect, even Macau. It's not the typical it's not the typical road course anyway. And from what I have heard by the drivers about fuel consumption, you're going to make it easily with a full tank of fuel. It just depends on how you want to carry the weight around the track. Maybe to be a little bit more flexible with the strategy, you might keep the full tank and then decide on the way the racing goes when to change tires.
If you're Isaac Price, you've sandbagged the result to finish really high up in the endurance. What do you think? What do you think his strategy will be? Do you think he'll go for maybe more fuel because the quick guys have got some cars to get through? I mean, don't forget he's still got 4 cars to get through at the beginning of the race. Who's he got to get through? He's got to get through Fortes, Yefin, Daniel Balla, and Daniel Lecastic. Some of those guys have got some pace. So yeah, what do you reckon? What's Isaac's strategy going to be?
Well, I'm not actually 100% sure at the moment. Of course, everybody's gridding up in the background. It looks as though Isaac Price jumped off the server for the time being. I think the rest of the cars are populating the grid. So whether he's going to choose to continue to race or whether he can get away with not racing and use it as a drop round will remain to be seen. But the rest of the grid is being filled. Hopefully, Isaac is on the grid for the start of the race, but we'll keep you posted on that. 15 drivers on the grid at the moment as we are, again, getting everything ready for the start on the hour. But if I was Isaac Price, and let's say he is in the race for now, I'd want to get past the guys ahead as soon as I could possibly get past them. Of course, the faster guys that you have to worry about later on in the race, starting way further down the order. He might take a bit more fuel. Of course, he could take less and come out earlier, but doesn't want to run into any traffic later on in the race. But yeah, I think Isaac, he's the type of guy to go as long as possible. To give himself the biggest opportunity at the end of the race with a lighter car and fresher tyres. So yeah, if he jumps back, I think we'll see him take a couple extra litres We're about 5 minutes away from the race start. No sign of Isaac at the moment. So Daniel Lukastik and Daniel Balla on the front row. Jefim Jakob in third position with Jari Katia in fourth. Vitatas Lagutskas in fifth position as it stands with Sean Lee in sixth. Lutsky in seventh position with Vidoviats in P8. Peltkangas ninth. And Kake Prapo is your top 10. Johnny Katia in 11th, Pedro Picanco in 12th, Sami Litmanen and Jan Vakowski in 13th and 14th. So, yeah, I'd be curious to see how they get through the pack, whether they're going to take the time and, use advantage of all 59 or 90 minutes that we've got, 59 laps, of course, to get their way to the front, or whether they're going to try and do it straight off the bat. Well, Isaac Price has jumped back on the service. Hopefully he'll slot in.
Yeah, he might have had some issues with his new equipment. He's switched to a Thrustmaster setup as he has to use it for another tournament he's going to take part the next couple of weeks.
Interesting.
Yeah, he was talking about that in a...
Slots into fourth again. Yeah, he's got both race green cars and Lukastik to get past. I think he's probably going to get his elbows out, and again, we'll probably see him take a couple extra liters so that he can go a bit further.
Road car not on the grid?
The Road Appraiser car is currently Pedro Picanco.
He lost connection to the server between
Fortes
the
finished
session.
P13 in the race, so he should line up somewhere. He should line up fourth. So yeah, if he reconnects, and hopefully he does, he can slot into his grid position. Otherwise, Isaac has one fewer car to get past at the start of the race. Moments away now.
3 minutes.
Yeah, someone else who's got a bit of work to do is Nico Pantola. Finished 2 laps down in that race. Not brilliant for him, especially considering he's one of the top runners in the championship with a lot of his rivals here ahead of him. He's turned up to every round, got some solid points on the board, so yeah, it's possible he could use it as a drop round maybe if he needs to. That's the beauty of drop rounds. We've got 3 of them, so we don't really know where everyone's going to sit until the final race at Aston in a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, but it also means that at least from next race on, we have to think differently about the race results. It's no longer about how many points you get for the position, but what the delta is between the finishing position and the highest drop round you have in the pocket.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what we were talking about with Isaac. This won't necessarily be a bad result for him in the sprint race. He can afford a couple of them, and we'll see what he can do with this position. He hasn't had it all his way in the endurance races throughout this series, so we'll see what he gets with a little bit more free air, hopefully, at the beginning of this race. One thing we mentioned at the top of the show was that the traffic will be... we had this conversation before we came on air, actually. The traffic will be a factor in this race. So hopefully the backmarkers, when they become backmarkers, can find space and get out of the way in time to let everyone through cleanly. Because we don't want to see any backmarkers getting in the way. That's never enjoyable.
No, definitely not. And I can speak from first hand with that, with what happened on Thursday. It's a shame, really, because, really induce a championship, and that's exactly what happened.
So, I'm wondering if Isaac's going to maybe sandbag the lag start, or if he's going to try a send on the lag start to see how much he can gain back on those top 3.
Well, do you want to show the lag start to the viewers, or should we keep them guessing?
We'll keep them guessing. We'll not say anything. We'll just keep an eye on things and make a prediction of it.
No spoilers.
No spoilers.
But yeah, it makes you wonder if Isaac's going to potentially just sit back and just see how the 3 ahead of him will behave into turn 1 and 2, or is he just going to go for it and see what he can do? Of course, with the lag start, being the lag start, he's got nothing to lose.
Yeah, I'll keep my eyes closed and I'll be surprised when the real start.
Okay, you all talk and keep your eyes closed. I'll watch.
All right.
And the wind is going to be an interesting effect. Just wind doesn't do much at South City unless you're on the pit straight or the motorway.
It has some effect. It has a little bit of effect. It looks like it's going to be blowing them down the homes.
Well, it's going to change when they restart after.
Get a crosswind at the start. Oh yeah, of course it'll restart when the race restarts. But the lag starts underway, and we'll be
another thing
for any second now.
Another thing for Isaac to worry about as well is for Tesla Gutskas, again, just 2 positions directly behind him on the start. Looks as though the front 2 a little bit slow into turn 2 on the lag start. Isaac Price seems to be in a decent position to take advantage. He might even be in the lead of the race come turn 4 if he plays his cards right. We'll see. You'd say out of everybody on the grid, he's the man to get himself up into that top spot. The earliest, of course, being one of the fastest drivers in the championship, starting further forward than his main competitors, as with a huge collection of cars into turn number 7 on
Race
good
director.
luck that
Okay,
this
so
is the
not
race
like this.
lag start.
20 kilometers an hour. Up grid wrong, according to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
It
and
looks as
we've
though
gone
Isaac
to
Price jumped up to 3rd position because the restart was timed a little bit different. So again, we're going to jump to an intermission screen whilst everybody gets everything back into
looks
ship
like
shape.
Jeff and Jacob spectated during the. Or he wrong routed.
So, momentary glitch there. The grid will be reset, and yeah, hopefully the race director can get things going.
Yeah, it looks as
for
though
you in a couple
everybody's
of
in the
seconds.
position that they need to be, just waiting for everybody to ready up, and we're again away for the start of race number 2.
So I'm going to see how we shape out. We did lose Laguskas.
He's currently sat in P6.
Oh no, sorry. I was looking for him higher up, and I forgot he dropped back in that first race. So yeah, he's P6. So we've got Laguskas and Price that might be able to scoot away from the field if they can get into clean air early on. We did have Lukashtik and Bala and the others that were on pole on the reverse grid last race actually run away fairly well. But they eventually got clawed back. So 7 kilometers an hour wind, a very light wind. This is another lag start.
So more time for drivers to size up competition around them on track with another at least couple corners to start.
Yeah, we'll show the lag start this time, since the audience have been waiting for some racing action.
Yeah.
So yeah, this isn't the real start. This is just a test start for everybody to try and get their eyes in with the wind and with the drivers around them. The correct grid this time, so they'll do a couple of corners, then the race will restart and we'll go for real.
Look at the run that Isaac Price has got though, up into 3rd position at the moment. Last time we had a lag start here, Daniel Balla and Lukastik, both 1st and 2nd, had a bit of a door banging moment at the exit of turn 2, but Isaac Price, look at that, manages to slot into 3rd position and is right on the back of race green Daniel Balla as we restart again.
Yeah. Bala took a very defensive line into turn 2 and covered off an inside lunge from Isaac. 19 kilometers an hour wind speed for this race, so that's a respectable wind as we wait for the lights. Isaac Price in 4th. Laguska is right behind Isaac in P6. Lukastik and Bala and Jeff and Jacob, the top 3 as we watch for the lights. And it's go, go, go. Lukastik laying down a long trail of rubber as he gets off on the start grid. Isaac Price settles in behind in 4th with a slipstream on the top 3, and will try to lunge up the inside of Jeffen Jacob.
Great start
pumping
from
into
Isaac
the back
Price.
of Bala for braking. Does get up to 3rd. Lukastik leads into turn number 3.
Sammy's been
Bala
crowded
leading
into
to
the wall
ruin
at
Price.
turn 1. Sorry to butt in. Sammy was crowded into the wall, picked up a bit of damage, but Isaac already up to P3 and looking to get up into P2.
Yeah, look at
Laguskas
Lukaskas
comes up
though.
the inside and makes contact with him and nearly sends Isaac into a spin.
Huge
Isaac
dive there.
almost retained 3rd position then, but Vitas Lagutskas benefited from the double left-hander. Isaac's going to attack again almost into turn number 7 as the track starts to widen up.
Yeah, they both got
The
damage
widest
now.
it's going to be.
They both got
Yeah,
damage.
they're going to have
thanks
to
that.
carry that for the remainder of the race. Of course, 90 minutes is a long time. Vitas Lagutskas has the move made on Isaac Price and sits in 3rd position as Isaac goes
Isaac
very
gets
deep
in.
into 9. Contact to the right rear of Vitas Lagutskas. Everybody
missed.
behind checking up. Long time to settle your differences, guys. There's a long time to make your way through the order. Of course, there's more up for grabs as the cars are closer together at the start of the race, but all is still to be played for.
Battle between Air Attack's Sean Lee and Paddy Pelticangas as Pelticangas swings past the Air Attack driver into turn number 12. That's Radek Lutsky ahead of Paddy now. He's in P6. We've got a battle on for the lead. Someone want to take that?
Oh, side by side between Bala and Lukastic.
Yeah,
Three
keep an eye on
wide.
Vitatas Lagutskis though.
And I
He
think
moves to the
Lagutskis is
right-hand
gonna-
side.
Try and take an outside run through turn 1.
A little bit of a lift from Vitatas
Contact.
Lagutskis.
Oh,
Keep an eye
Lagutskis.
on
Isaac in the
wall
wall.
into the
Lagutskis in.
background.
That's
And
huge.
Isaac
Isaac's on his roof.
On his roof down in P9 at the moment as the rest
It's game
of the grid
over for Isaac.
filters through. So Isaac Price out of the race. Vitatas Lagutskis on the outside of Daniel Lukastic now, taking second place away. So Last Lap Motorsport driver, fantastic start. All the way into second place now. Up 4 positions from where we started.
In the first lap, Littmanen came from P16 to P7.
Yeah, that's impressive. Isaac clearly not getting on with his Thrustmaster gear. All the cars around him, as we see Radek Lutski losing a place there to Isaac Price. Drama in the first 2 laps here in a 90-minute, 59-lap endurance race. We have seen the championship leader on his roof in turn number 1 on lap 2 of this race.
He'll be absolutely thanking the gods that there are drop rounds, but it's not over yet. The gap from Daniel Balla to Vitatas Lagutskis is 1.82 seconds and is coming down ever so slightly. Vitatas purple sector number 2 on this lap. He is closing the gap to the race leader, but how long is it going to be until he finds himself up into...
Picanco with a dive, making 3 spots by making loads of contact.
Yeah, he was with his teammate, and his teammate's 2 cars behind, so that just gives you some idea of how far he was able to jump up with that move. Lots of cars with lots of cosmetic damage, and we are on lap 3 of 59. This is crazy stuff as Sami Littmanen moves up into P number 6 now as well. Sorry, P number 5. Nearly takes out his teammate there on the brakes.
Well, Parappa with a big lunge up the inside of both Lurski and Sean Lee. Some of the action I've been seeing from some of these drivers is stuff I would have expected to see in the sprint race.
Well, I think
not in a 90-minute feature.
South City is well. I don't think anybody's expected this start to this race. South City is obviously the trickiest track that we've been at with this field and with this car in this series. But yeah, quite a dramatic start, it has to be said. Daniel Balla, though, currently leading out front with a little bit of a gap over Vitatas Lagutskis. If Daniel can keep his car up in the top of this field, then that's going to be a huge points haul for him as we head into the final 2 rounds.
The gap at the start of the lap was about 1.5, went down to 1.3 in sector 1, and again, Vitatas Lagutskis losing out a little bit
Sammy's
in the middle
moving
sector
up
to
past
Daniel Balla.
Lukastic Jack, and he makes the move. Sorry, yeah, that was Sami Littmanen. He now joins his teammate, and Daniel Lukastic under threat now from Kaike Parappa. Kaike on the inside there, across start finish.
Vitatas Lagutskis fastest lap of the race at 31.13, 3/10 faster than the car ahead and 3/10 faster than the car behind.
Oh, Lukastic into the wall really heavily there at turn number 1. Blares the horn, and that'll be heavy right side damage that he might want to get repaired on that car. Yeah, you can see it towing out now on the front right there as Sean Lee's sizing him up in that yellow, orange and black car. He goes for the move into turn 4 and makes it stick. And who's that following it through? That's Jan Bukowski, who hasn't really featured in this race yet. He's been trapped at the back, or in the middle rather. He's only in P8, and Sami Littmanen and Lagutskis P2 and P4.
Yeah, that toe damage going to affect the temperature of the tyre, of course, with it scrubbing laterally in a straight line. And again, with the temperature in the tyres as well, as Lagutskis has got a great run on Daniel Balla for the race lead. Take it away, Tilo. The gap's 0.38 of a second.
Yeah, he's down in the slipstream deep. And very deep. And braking zone not close enough yet, but I think this will change now rapidly across the home straight.
Yeah, he spooked Daniel there a bit, didn't he? I think Daniel was expecting that car to be on the inside and left a bit of room, so compromised the exit a little bit for the race green car. And here comes Lagutskis now, across start finish. Will he take the lead cleanly? Oof, just about.
Just gets the overlap done as the track narrows on the right hand side. Takes the fastest lap of the race while he's at it, into the 30s already. Daniel Bala, not the greatest lap from him. A 32.15 sees him drop down into second place. We're on lap 5 of 59 now. So Lucas now has to do his best to keep the tyres alive as long as possible. Let the fuel of that car come out naturally as the race progresses. And again, try to keep that gap up. See where he'll come out at the end of the pit stop window. Again, at the moment, looks like he's in the best position again to take the checkered flag. It's just now controlling the pace and the car to get it to the end. Pedro Picanco up 7 positions into third, and Sammy Littman as well for Sidus right behind his teammate, up 10 positions into fourth.
Yannick Katia now close to Kaike Pirappo. Maybe a move into the hairpin. No, he thinks better of it. But he gets the more cleaner hairpin.
Yeah, look at the rear of Kaike's car wiggling around. Yannick Katia much more patient on the throttle. And this is where that pays dividends as we head onto the back straight. Huge overspeed. Oh my goodness, how quickly he caught Kaike there. And he's passed.
To be careful as well with the length of the straight as well. The earlier in the straight you make the move, the longer you have to keep it for the remainder of the straight. Again, if you take that position side by side out of turn 11, you might think, yeah, I've got the move made. But again, it allows the car behind you then to tuck into the slipstream on the long run between turn 11 and 12 to try and attack back. Yannick Katia now into some clean air. He's got 3.7 seconds to the car ahead of him, which is Sammy Littman in fourth position. So Yanni now can get his head down, try and focus on building up a rhythm here around South City, because it's so crucial to make sure you're in that rhythm. There's not much margin for error whatsoever. There's not like there's a gravel trap runoff or any grass or anything for you to kind of slot into should you miss a braking point or an apex, so to speak. But Yannick Katia now settling in.
Yeah, and just a couple of positions behind Jan Wikowski is Jan Wikowski. He's following Kaike Pirappo there through the tight and twisty section down into the downhill hairpin. And so far the distances seem to be equidistant around Jack D's restaurant. And now up on the motorway, he is maybe at the tail end of the slipstream, but
yeah, Kaike got a great run out of turn 11 there. Exactly what you want when you're the car defending from, of course, the one behind with the aid of the draft. Both get it slowed down nicely for turn 12. Again, we're seeing a mix of lines through turn 12. You don't want to be too tight because there's a curb that can unsettle the car, especially as you transition from the curb onto the flat tarmac again, trying to get the power down. You don't want any strain in the suspension whatsoever, making sure that the car's completely level so that you can get that right foot down. But look at the speed that Jan Wikowski's able to carry through that kink that is turn 1 under the bridge, and again through turn 2, the gap 0.3 at the line. You can assume it's a lot less than that now. Jan Wikowski almost on the rear bumper of Kaike Pirappo for Energy Virtual Racing. Kaike last time around about, again, just shy of half a second faster than Kaike Pirappo as he gets the rear out all sorts through turn 4, again trying to get the car slowed down through turn 5 and 6, arguably the slowest part of the track apart from turn 9. Kaike with a nice run through the left-hander that is turn 7. Jan Wikowski a little bit of a check-up before the apex. Again, you can see that gap extending a little bit now. We head into the downhill braking zone that is the first gear right-hander of turn number 9. Again, struggling for traction because it's downhill in the braking zone, uphill on the way out, and again, as soon as you get on the power, you're having to lift again to turn it into the right-hander of turn 10. But look at the exit that Jan Wikowski got through turn number 11. He's going to be aided by the draft a little bit closer than he was last time. The gap 0.4 of a second through second split. As Yannick Katia is setting purple sectors on this lap, trying to get away from this battle that you're currently witnessing on screen. Jan Wikowski nice and tight through the left-hander. Kaike with the slightly better exit. So 7 laps deep, still elbows out racing. What can Jan Wikowski do? How long do you think it's going to take him to get past Kaike? Do you think he can?
Well, I was just about to say that. Jan was really close as he entered the middle sector, but of course through the middle sector where you've not got as much downforce, you really are at the mercy of the dirty air coming off the car in front. And as a result, he dropped back, and here we go again. He's kind of closed up in the infield, and he needs to stick with him as he heads onto the motorway, as Tilo said, in order to get past. But it's not happening right now, and I'm really impressed by Kaike's pace. because Jan Bukowski does put on a lot of pressure.
Yeah, so Lagutskas's leads now up to about 3.6 seconds, so he's
Catilla
pulled quite...
fastest lap.
Yeah, I was going to say, Katia lighting up our sector times last time around, takes the fastest lap at 1 minute 30.36. And to put that pace into perspective, your leader, Vitatas Lagutskás, last time around at 1 minute 30.9. So almost 0.6 faster was Yoni Katia there last time around, in 5th place currently, as Jan Bukowski runs very close to the wall, still on the back of Kake Propo. As Kake gets a little bit of oversteer through the left-hander onto the slip road that is, of course, turn 11, as we lose a race green car from the race. Jeffin Jacob immediately reconnects, but I'm not sure if he'll be able to rejoin the race. Jan Bukowski very close to Kake Propo.
That car
Both
won't be able
managed to get it
the
slowed
race.
down. The one race green car out of the race, which promotes Sami Littmanen up into... Well, actually, I'm not sure. Was Jeffin in 3rd position? I know they were side by side at the start of the race. I'm not sure how many positions the race green car dropped before ultimately timing out of the server, but Jan Bukowski, 0.27 seconds separates him from 6th position across the line. Again, you can see the car unpredictable as the undulating track like loads the suspension up and compresses the car into the floor as the track drops away and then comes back uphill once more. Very close is Jan Bukowski to the back of the Energy Virtual Racing car. Not really many opportunities to pass, so he needs a great run out of turn 7 to potentially attack into turn 9. Other than that, it's the last corner, gents.
Yeah, he's already using his horn to...
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, he's getting impatient, isn't he?
Yeah, he's impatient. The thing is that Kake is much weaker throughout the corners, but then as soon as some straightish section of the track approaches to those cars, Kake can somehow manage to keep the speed and the gap.
Jan Bukowski carrying a lot of speed through the second right-hander that is turn 10, but it leaves him a bit further on the left-hand side of the track for turn 11, and you need to be a bit further over to the right-hand side there to make sure that you can keep the throttle pinned. Jan Bukowski lifting ever so slightly out of turn 11, and that hindered his run down into arguably the best opportunity for him to overtake Kake Propo, which is turn 12.
Right now.
He's doing everything he needs to place that car in the perfect position to defend from Jan Bukowski, and you can see just how frustrated Jan's getting with the lights illuminated and the horn blaring. Again, you can see as the car almost bottoms out through the section that is turn 1, braking at 70 meters for turn 2. Kaike's doing everything he needs to right now.
Sami Littmanen is closing the gap on Daniel Balla. He's got past Pedro Picanco, his teammate, at some point, and now closing up on the race green car while we were focused on the tense battle between Energy Virtual Racing and Conquest Racing. So yeah,
Sammy, 3/4 of a second faster last lap than Balla.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Balla's getting caught quite rapidly by the cars that were held up at the beginning of the race. He's got Yoni Catilla, Kake Propo, Jan Bukowski.
Yoni into the wall there. Slightly into the wall in turn 11. It's hindered his run massively. The gap was 0.92. It's going to be well over a second when they cross the start-finish line, but Yoni, with a tremendous amount of pace at the moment, still retains the fastest lap and the fastest Sector 1. Vitatas Lagutskás fastest in Sector 2 and 3 earlier on in the race. Your race leader, of course, at the moment 6.3 seconds out in the lead, but Yoni Katia in P5 looks like to be closing up to the back of Pedro Picanco for Sidus again with that little mistake out of turn 11. The gap was...
Sorry to
interrupt.
Jan Bukowski is now side by side with Kake Propo down into the underpass.
That was close.
Good.
Kake thinks better of it.
Yeah, that was good, but it's really, really close door-to-door racing there. Well done to Jan and Kake for keeping that clean. Great
Jan will be happy as well. The personal best lap from him last time around. Not quite in the 30s yet.
But he's got a lot of ground
of the fastest lap of the race. But again, yeah, you can see he's been following Kake Propo for a long time now. We're on lap 11. And I saw somebody in the comments saying that Kake's running a little less wing. You can get away with that here at South City because there's not really many high-speed corners here. A lot of the corners that matter are low speed, and obviously the aero is not going to affect you when you're when you're, in first gear, for example.
Daniel Balla basically let Sammy Littmanen through there. That was unexpected. I did not expect Daniel to make that so easy, but yeah, either outbraked himself or something, or just didn't want to get in the way. But anyway, Sammy Littmanen up to P2 then. Daniel Balla kind of gifting that one.
Yeah, I want to see where Sammy Littmanen's pace lies, really, because he was only 2/10 shy of Vitatas Lagutska's time last time around. But again, following a bit of traffic, if he's unleashed now, will he be able to maybe close that gap, which is 8 seconds now to your race leader? Long time to go, though, Pete. 90 minutes. We're only on lap 11 of 59.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying it's huge.
Oh, that'll be done in about 10 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, of course. A long race, but Vitatas Lagutskis and Sammy Littmanen, both very experienced drivers, both find themselves in the top 5 in the standings here.
Yeah.
Always find themselves in the top 3 or 4 in qualifying and the race results. So again, we'll see if that gap comes down at all.
Yes, JP.
8.26 seconds the gap last time by the start-finish line between Lagutskis and Littmanen. I will use the old trusty pencil and paper and
scribble
make
that
notes.
down. Yeah. So we're going to go on at the top of this race, I think. I mean, Lagutskis is not... it's not... He's at the mercy of the traffic. There's plenty of traffic out there. It's a tricky track to stay focused at, especially when you're on your own. So let's see what you can do. He's got, like you said, an 8-second buffer right now to Sammy Littmanen, but we know how fast he is. Let's see what happens.
Keep an eye on this battle, though. Pedro Picanco right on the back of Daniel Balla and Yoni Katia catching them both up. Yoni Katia, again, was 0.9 away from Pedro Picanco, who we ride on board with at the moment, but in the last lap has got that gap down to 0.8 from 1.5 after that mistake. So Yoni Katia absolutely on a mission at the moment, and is an outlier in terms of strategy as well, because he's running R2s on the front. The only other, it's both of the Katias that are running R2 on the front. The rest of the grid R3s all around. So will that pay dividends for Yoni later on in the race?
Well, it's an interesting strategy. Trying to think of the benefits that would get.
Bit of lap time, but yeah, if you can, Let
us know what you think about that one. So yeah, Yoni really closing up now.
Daniel Balla missed the apex of turn 2, and the move has been made. So yeah,
Daniel not making that difficult at all, was he? He was just letting him go through. Doesn't
want to get involved. He's going to yield to Yoni as well, though, because Yoni's right on the back of him too.
Yeah, Daniel wasn't really putting much into defending against Lagutskis earlier. Then you said against Sammy, it was also a rather suspiciously easy move.
Paid off, maybe. No.
I think Daniel is more looking into his race pace and hoping
the long game
for a good result in the end.
Yoni's got a great run here. It lifts a little bit, of course, to break in a straight line.
This is where Daniel let another car through last lap, but yeah, not this time. Doesn't make it easy for Yoni, so maybe he's got to deal with the Sidus cars, but not with world-class lines. Who knows?
A little bit of a lift in turn 11 for Yoni Katia, so not the greatest run on Daniel Balla now, up to turn 12. So if he's not close enough here, gets a great exit out of turn 12, he can attack into turn 2. We'll see though. Right up against the wall for the straight line braking point. Nicely through turn 12 on the power early, running right out to the wall, almost ripping the mirror off on the right hand side of the car, using all of the track. Not close enough really to benefit too much from the draft down into turn number 1, but you can see he is gaining on that race green car. The gap 0.4 at the line as Jan Bukowski goes purple in sector 3 last time around, a 1 minute 30.74. So Jan Bukowski just behind Yoni Katia is about 2.88 seconds back, and let me tell you, he's hauling, he's in the 30s. 1.1 second faster was Jan Bukowski than Yoni Katia last time around. So this three-way battle may turn into this two-way battle may turn into a three-way battle if Yoni Katia can't get past Daniel Balla.
Daniel does run wide in this bus stop section. That's the second time I've seen him do that. Just gets the end shield wrong, and that's held Yoni up a little bit as Yoni just goes drifting onto the fast left there.
Balla is holding up Yoni by about a second a lap compared to the 2 leaders.
But again, Yoni needs to get the best run he possibly can through turn 11. Again, the car wants to snap at the apex, so whether that's down to his setup or just the way he approaches that corner.
Yeah, he's lost a load of time there, look, the green car.
Yeah, so the gap was 0.6 at the split. halfway around this lap. You'd expect it to be a little bit more if Daniel Balla can nail turn 12, with Yoni suffering a little bit through turn 11. But keep an eye on the background of your shot, because Jan Verkowski is closing in on this battle for 4th position as Vitautas Lagutskas out in the race lead, sets a 1 minute 30.27, the fastest lap that we've seen so far. Jan Verkowski closing up on this pack, a 1 minute 30.6, so your race leader 3/10 faster than anybody on track at the moment. And that gap, gents, up to 8.6 seconds now, so he's not getting too far away from Sami Litmanen, but the gap is increasing.
We're hearing that Nico Patola smashed into the wall in turn 1. We think it may have been a hardware issue for the genuine racing driver, so Nico Patola out of this race also. That's going to be a painful one because he's in the top 10 as far as I know in the championship.
Yeah, P8 he entered this round.
And the one thing that we will be able to definitely confirm after one of these rounds is we will definitely know at least one drop round with
Daniel Balla,
2 more rounds left.
he impeded a bit by traffic now. This is the best run Yoni's got. Daniel Lukastik there in the FFM car to the right hand side. Lap traffic just hindered Daniel Balla a little bit through turn 11. A lift from Yoni Katia means he's not going to get the overlap done by the braking zone. He's going to have to be on the outside unless he can outbrake the race green Autosport car, which he indeed does, and hooks his car to the left hand side, hits his apex nicely. But Jan Verkowski now, keep an eye on this man. He had
So Katia's
1.65
last lap was a
seconds.
31.79. This lap will also have been compromised, but he's at 31.05. So now with a clean lap ahead for Yanni, we should see what his pace is. He does have Peltikangas just ahead that he'll be working to dispatch of quickly. The gaps up to 9 seconds between P1 and 2. Lagoskas clicking off fast lap after fast lap with a 30.35 last lap. Litmanen only with a 37.8.
And Jan Verkowski's caught right up to the back of this train now. Daniel Balla again a little bit wide through that double left-hander that makes up turns 5 and 6. Jan Verkowski wants to make his way up into 5th, given the opportunity. When will that come though? Late on the brakes into turn 9. That gap of course will come down naturally as the cars scrub off the speed, and again will expand as the cars get up to race pace once more. Brilliant run through turn 11, Jan Verkowski.
Yeah, it's nearly time to find out whether Jan Pikowski paid Daniel Balla before this round. How easy will this be? Very easy for the Sidus cars, not so easy for Yoni Katilla. But how will the
Jan
Conquest Racing
Verkowski's
driver
made a
fare?
second up on this lap alone, half a second in sector 1, half a second in sector number 2. No personal best or race best times at the moment on this lap, but you can just see that gap visibly coming down a bit. You can see the side lights of Daniel Balla's car illuminating a little bit as he flashes the lights. They were not brake lights. Gap now 0.47 seconds, and again Jan Verkowski braking a little bit later on the run down to turn 2, tighter at the apex as well. Earlier on the power, that gap's coming down left, right and centre. Could see a move at the end of this lap. Just the apex speeds, all it takes is 1 or 2 kilometres an hour more at the apex, and you can visibly see that gap coming down as Daniel Balla claps the wall on the left hand side. Not enough to cause any damage, but again, not great for exit speed. And Verkowski now needs to time his run potentially into turn number 9. A little bit of a lift at the apex of turn 7 there.
Yeah,
Try and not run. Yeah, of course, drivers going a little bit faster than they would if they had clean air. Not necessarily aero drop, but just the draft means you gain a little bit of speed in a straight line. A little bit more than you were potentially expecting.
Here we go then, back straight. Daniel's got a good run. Jan's just a little bit all over the place. Both of them hit the wall. That won't cause him too much problem, but onto the back straight we go, and Daniel will survive for, well, at least one more corner.
Yeah, just keep an eye on where the 2 cars brake. Daniel just after the 100 metre board, Jan Verkowski a little bit later. Means he's a little bit deeper into the corner, but can take a later apex. Carry the same amount of speed through the corner, but a brilliant exit from Jan Verkowski. If he can carry the momentum, which we've seen him do through turn number 1, the track sort of drops away from you and then compresses you as it goes back up the hill through the kink of turn number 1. The car can snap there, and that's exactly what happened to Isaac Price earlier on in the race. Jan Mikowski again a little bit later on the brakes into turn 2. Is he going to get as close as he did last time? Daniel Balla about 2 or 3 meters from the apex of turn 2. Not massively slow, but definitely slower. Both of the cars, yeah, I was going to say, opting to take a wider entry to turn number 6.
Daniel with the better exit there, though, definitely.
Johnny Katia purple in sector number 1, 3 tenths faster than your race leader so far on this lap. He's got 7/10 of a second to Pedro Picanco ahead of him, but we keep an eye on Jan Bukowski hunting down Daniel Balla in a brilliant run through turn 11, not a lift whatsoever, aided by the draft now into turn 12. Will Daniel Balla defend potentially? Don't think Jan Bukowski's going to be close enough to be side by side into the braking zone, but a move is always on from this far back when the speeds are as high as they are. Jan a little bit wide, but again tightens it up on the exit. Brilliant traction out of turn 12. This is arguably the closest he's been. If he can carry the momentum, if Daniel checks up in turn 1, a little bit of a lift is all it needs.
Could be a different wing on these cars. Daniel's not. He's getting away a little bit, even though Jan is within draft range just. Yeah, probably just not close enough actually. But as we head into the middle sector, Jan will close up again. And we'll see how long Daniel Balla can hold off the Conquest Racing car. He's managed to do it for a third of the race as we tick over into lap 20 at the end of this lap. Jan kind of sizing Daniel up now.
Yeah, but Daniel on the outside now, leaves it wide, will put him on the inside, but drags the brakes a little bit to give Jan Bukowski the position. So Jan up into 5th position. Joni Katia's pulled 3.6 seconds on these two in the time it's taken Jan to get around Daniel Balla.
Yeah, not the easiest place to let someone through there, so fair play.
In the time it took Bukowski to ground Balla, Katia has... Oh, Katia just clouded the wall at the left-hand kink coming onto the motorway, so has undone a lot of his work to gather up.
He's going to lose over half a second there. I think he was 0.6 back from Pedro Picanco.
He was well over a second behind. Now he's out of the slipstream. So Katia now having to claw back all of that work back on Pedro Picanco.
Indeed.
The gap between Litmanen and Naguskas keeping around 9 seconds. These two are 5 seconds adrift of P2. So Katia now will have to do the work of catching back up to Pedro Picanco again. Now down to a second on that gap after it was 1/10 of a second or so.
Fun fact, all 3 sectors of the lap here, the fastest sectors respectively, held by 3 different drivers. So Joni Katia fastest in sector 1, set on lap 18. Jan Bukowski fastest in sector 2, set on lap 13. And Vitautas Lagutskas fastest sector 3, set just last lap on lap
we haven't
number
talked
19.
about Jan for a while, have we? Out there on his own. A little bit of front left damage, but...
Yeah, you mean Vitautas?
I meant Vitautas,
We've been
sorry.
riding with Jan for many years.
Yeah, years.
Yes, Vitautas
No, he's the leader. We don't care about what the leader's doing.
9.6 seconds ahead, so again, extending that lead a little bit. And again, purple in Sec 2 is your race leader, so we could see a potential fastest lap. Last time around, he was 1 minute 30.45, and the fastest laps are 1 minute 30.27. So not far away. Fastest in Sector 2. The gap now 9.85 seconds. So again, it's climbing a couple tenths every sector, almost half a second a lap. As he does set the fastest lap at 1:30.26. Not much faster than the one he set before, but faster nonetheless. And his lead extends now to just shy of 10 seconds. The gap still about 0.8 between Joni Katia and Pedro Picanco, as Joni very deep into turn 2.
Just a bit.
Didn't seem to suffer too much in terms of time. Of course, made a lot of time up by braking so late. Lost a bit on the exit. The gap still looks visibly to be around about 0.7 of a second, so similar to what it was across the line.
You'd be correct, sir.
0.71 is the gap updated at the split line. Just before turn 5, the double left. We ride through turn 7 now. And Pelticanga's just so much more committed through turn 7. Ekes it out a little bit, but Yoni, again on the brakes, seems to catch Pelticangas a little bit. Later on the brakes, again into turn 9. That gap's going to come down a bit more. But Yoni needs to not hit the inside wall that is the left-hander of turn 11. Keep an eye on it just here. You can't get too close. Again, the exit wall. Very, very close. Yoni, great run. The gap is up to 0.9 though, so Pelticangas with a strong middle sector. What can the World Class Lines car do from 4th position? Of course, these two fighting for spots on the podium.
Someone else who's going to be filling Daniel Ballard's mirrors will be Kaike Piroppo at some point. I think that gap has been coming down gradually, maybe not as quickly as it was while Jan Mikowski was behind Daniel, but yeah, potentially one to watch out for in a few laps. Someone else who hasn't really shown up on our radar this race just yet is Pedro Picanco, who did very well in the sprint race and in qualifying. Currently P8, not really managed to make much progress through the grid just yet. I not sure how caught up in the drama that happened on lap 2. I'm not sure how caught up he got. But anyway, the road appraiser driver currently in P number 8. Sean Lee, P9. We talked about this during the interval between the first and second races tonight. Sean Lee was the driver who, before the race, suggested that he might do this race on the same set of tyres. I think everybody in the commentary box was unanimous in saying that they didn't think that was a good idea, but we'll see whether he goes for it. I think the idea is that he can't really win on pace, but can he try and win on alternate strategy? It's bold, probably impossible, but we always love to be surprised here. So let's see what Sean Lee can manage with those tyres.
Mr. Lee's best lap thus far is a 1:32.04, which is 1 3/4 seconds off of the leader's fastest lap. Doable? Maybe, but do you sacrifice too much and not get enough out of it? A bit of a silly strategy at this track, because this track does eat your tires.
Yeah, I mean, according to the chat, Pedro might be doing the same thing as we switch to Yoni Katsila.
Yeah, Yoni's the closest he's been to Pelticangas at the moment. 0.3 separated them across the line, but Yoni, again, seems to be able to brake so much later into turn number 2, as we see a fastest lap of the race from Sami Litmanen in second position. So out of nowhere, Sami Litmanen sets a 30.06, a good 0.2 faster than the fastest lap we've seen so far in the race. To put that into perspective, your leader last time around was over 0.4 slower than Sami Litmanen, so that gap was just over 10 seconds. It's now 9.8.
That was a good run for Yanni.
Yanni, again, massive speed through turn 7. He's very close to make a move into turn 9, but again, not a real overtaking opportunity. A first gear corner, second gear this time around for the World Class Lines car. A little bit of wheel spin for the second apex, puts him a bit further over to the left than he would like, but again, with a great run, needs to time it right, because Pelticangas can attack further later on in the straight. If he strategically lift now, for example, tucks into the slipstream, he could have got alongside, but doesn't need to. Brakes a bit later. Yoni has to go the long way around, and it's all about getting on the power now. Sideways a little bit was Pelticangas and Katia into the wall slightly, but they both concertina into one another. Yoni in third position. Pelticangas doesn't look like he has the speed or the draft advantage to attack into turn 2. So Yoni now up into the podium positions, with Pelticangas filtering down into fourth position. Yoni now will be able to hopefully settle into a little bit of a rhythm. He's got 6.7 seconds to Sami Litmanen in second position. Needs to just get his head down and focus on the long game now. Curious to see how long those R2s on the front will last on Yoni's car. Of course, both the Katias in P3 and P13. Choosing for the R2s on the front, the rest of the grid running R3s all around.
I mean, I know
He's already pulled 0.6 on Jan Mikowski. Sorry, Pelticangas so far.
I know we spoke about the zero stop being basically too risky. I wonder whether the R2 strategy is also a bit of a risk, in the sense that it might force Yoni and Yari into earlier pit stops maybe than some of the other drivers I don't think it's going to bother Catilla that much because, well, he's on a podium spot now. It looks to be dropping Pauli fairly quickly. I mean, look at that gap; it's opened up massively in just
Yeah,
a
well,
few
from
corners.
at the second sector, at the line there, the gap already over 1 second. It's probably going to be around about 1.3 to 1.4 when we get to the line. But both of the top two seem to be responding to each other's pace. Vitatas Lagutskas purple sector 2 and sector 3 puts him 129.94, the fastest lap of the race that we've seen so
That's
far.
quali
Of course,
pace, so he must be
it
coming to
is
the end of his
indeed.
stint.
Well, I thought an impressive lap was a 1 minute 30.27, which was
it
the
is.
fastest lap a couple laps ago. Yannick
Yeah.
Catilla has just done exactly that lap time, a 1 minute 30.27.
Pit stop
Then
time.
Vitatas Lagutskas did it was Sami Littmanen did a 1 minute 30.04 or something, a very low 30, and then the race leader Vitatas Lagutskas responds with a 29.
I wonder if he's. I wonder if Vitatas is looking at a halfway, half full, rest of the way half empty type strategy.
Maybe.
Because if he's light fuel and the tires could easily go another, 15, 20 laps?
Interesting. Well, he definitely had the pace at the start of the race. He's a quick driver regardless, so it's basically impossible to tell whether he's running low or high fuel. I mean, he's made it 25 laps into this race. We've got around about 35 to go. So, yeah, we are... Well, we're just guessing, aren't we, really?
Well, Catilla just put in the fastest split number one, or fastest sector number one of the race so far, a 25.26, some almost 3/10 faster than the race leader. Dropped a couple tenths in sector 2, so this might be an improvement on his personal best lap. Last time around was such a lap, a 1 minute 30.27, a personal best for Yannick. This time around it's going to be a 1 minute 30.30, so again just a little bit slower. Purple in sector 1, but lost a little bit of time in sector 2 and 3.
But still,
the gap
0.3
to second
faster on Littman in that lap.
Yeah, I'm going to say the gap to second though, 6.31 seconds, but Yanni a bit out of shape in turn 2. You can see the streaks of rubber, his right rear left on the track there through turn 2. The 6.5 is the gap now from Yanni to Sami Littmanen in second position. Yanni is the faster of the two drivers as it stands, 3/10 faster last time around, but the race leader just extends that gap even more, going purple in the final sector last time around. The gap nearly 11 seconds now.
As we lose another car from the race, Paolo. So, we have 16 cars remaining, 26 laps to go as the leader clocks over to start lap 27. There we go. We wonder when these guys are going to come in for fuel. With the lap times that Lagutskas and the rest of the top guys are putting out at the moment, it can't be too far. I've been wrong before about that, but as soon as the drivers start to dip into quali pace, it's often a sign that they are due a pit stop. We're hearing that Jan Bukowski may have started the race on full fuel, and he's also down in the realms of the low 1 minute 30s, so we could just be wrong.
Yeah.
The drivers are just on pace.
Well, Jan's been in the low 30s for the last couple of laps and held the fastest sector for a few laps earlier on before Vitatas Lagutskas sort of responded.
Yeah.
Last time around a 30.5, so he's in contention to at least the leader's pace somewhat, with him being within 3/10 of the leader's pace last time around. Whether that gap deficit to the leader's pace will add up and maybe save him later on, he can somehow get to the end, we'll see. But it looks as though the closest cars on track at the moment are Kaike Paroppo and Daniel Ballot. They're both entering turn 9 at the moment. Kaike looking for a way around the race green car, just doesn't seem to be able to keep with him in the low speed corners though. Daniel Ballot eking a little bit out on this lap alone. Kaike into the wall on the outside of 11. The gap up to 0.89 of a second now. Was well within half a second just a lap ago.
Yeah, I mentioned
Kaike needs to get himself into a rhythm now.
Yeah, he's been closing that gap for the last 8 laps, but yeah, it needs to. Yeah, getting close to someone around South City is one thing. Getting past is another. Now, even though Daniel's been making it relatively easy for some drivers to get past, Kaike needs to have consistent pace, lap in, lap out, because that's what Daniel is doing right now. Kaike seems to be doing one fast lap here, and then the rest are average. So he needs to kind of find some sort of stability.
Well, Daniel Ballot, last time around, 1 minute 31.22. Kaike, arguably, definitely, well, not even arguably, has more pace in the tank, but it's just whether he can extract what he needs to out of his car on a lap basis. Really, it's not a qualifying session. He can't put in a good lap every 3 laps.
Yeah, but
Ultimately he's going to
be
lose
under
time in
pressure
the long
from
run.
Pedro before he gets close to Daniel. It's possible.
Yeah. Well, Pedro's 2 seconds back at the moment, and last time around was 0.6 of a lap faster than Kaike.
Yeah.
So the gap is coming down there. We might see a 3-way battle, and arguably Picanco could get closer to Kaike Propo than Propo can get to Daniel Balla there. Kaike massively sideways there through turn 9. Picanco is going to benefit from that. Again, we ride on board with the Road Appraiser driver in 8th position at the moment. So Kaike's now got 1.29 seconds to Daniel Balla, and Picanco's gap to Kaike, which was 2 seconds at the start of this lap, is now down to 1.4. So 0.6 has Pedro Picanco gained on the man in 7th position, just this lap alone. So we'll ride on board with Pedro for a little bit longer. Hopefully you guys can visually see that gap coming down. Kaike is the car just ahead in the Energy Virtual Racing red and blue car.
Brief interruption. Yanni Katia has just set the fast lap with a 1:29.77.
Wow, that's rapid. That's crazy. Is that faster than quali? It is, right?
I believe so.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, Tilo, the man with the numbers. That's the
qualifying.
fastest lap of the day so far.
Well, pole position was a 1:29.87 set by
mad.
Jan Mikowski. And to put it into context, Yanni Katia's qualifying lap was a 1:30.53. So
Yanni should have used his
0.8
race
of a
saying quali.
second faster.
Oh well.
Yeah, but in the 20 minutes of qualifying that you have, you don't always have enough heat in the tires at this track.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, and so now that they've got better conditioned tires and light fuel, yeah, they're going to click fast laps. South City's notorious for qualifying not being the fastest laps.
I was going to say as well, when you find yourself in a race, you settle into a bit of a rhythm, whereas a qualifying lap is just a one-off, a slow out lap, a fast, qualifying lap, and then a teleport back to the pits to try again. He'll find himself, well, he's got plenty of clean air as well, and we know plenty of variables in qualifying.
Yeah, next car up the road for Katia is Litmanen, and next car up the road from Litmanen is Lagauskas. So the top 3, 4, 5 really have clean air. Balla's got clean air, but Pirapo and Picanco have a bit of disturbed air from Balla and Pirapo respectively. So Katia, Litmanen, and Lagauskas can just set qualifying laps and try to be as consistent as they can. With only 16 cars remaining, traffic's not going to be as big of an issue as it was when we had 21 cars.
You can definitely tell the fuel's coming out of these cars now, because Daniel Balla last time around, a personal best lap of a 1:30.83. Kaike Propo just about 0.3 faster though. That gap still is just under 1 second.
Yeah, this battle
Pedro
really is
Picanco,
closing
though.
up now, yeah.
Pedro Picanco slower than the two, Kaike Propo and Daniel Balla. So
On
again,
net, I think he is catching still.
he is indeed. The gap's down to 1.7. But I think we might see Pirapo make a move on Daniel Balla before Pedro can get up to the two of these two.
Well, we'll see. It's close, and yeah, Daniel may be losing out on 6th place if Kaike can string a couple of good laps together, because he's been in this position before, has Kaike. He's been this close before, but we saw how it all went away. So,
Well, 0.6 is the gap at the start of this straight, and Pirapo got a brilliant run through turn 11. Again, not close enough to challenge for a move, but that draft will definitely be affecting him at the later stages of the straight, gaining 1 or 2 kilometers. Daniel not with the greatest exit and catching the wall with the rear right of the car on the way out of turn 12. So Kaike Propo, you could probably estimate the gap will probably be around about 0.35 to 0.4 at the line.
If Balla makes it inconvenient at best for Pirapo, Picanco is only 1.6 behind this battle. So if Bala and Perapo argue over the position for a little bit, Picanco could be right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think
Daniel Bala, even though he is improving on his laps every single lap, Kake is even more so. Last time around, Daniel a 1 minute 31.6, Kake a 1 minute 30.89, so 0.7 of a second faster. But getting up to the back of another car is one thing, getting past is another, and retaining the position as well. Having to defend once you've made the manoeuvre is another thing. But again, Kake with a great run through turn 11. Daniel a little bit of a lift through turn 11. Didn't quite hit the wall very hard. Will affect him, maybe by 1 or 2 kilometers. But Kake in a brilliant position now. Needs to get the car slowed down and a decent exit through turn 12. And potentially attack into turn number 2. Tight on the exit. Nice and wide on the tight on the entry. Nice and wide on the exit. Picanco again suffering a little bit of oversteer in the background. That gap's going to stay about 1.6, but yeah, Kake, keep this up, mate. You'll find yourself in 6th before you know it. 1/100th of a second separated these two drivers last time around. As Sammy Littman sets a purple
0.4 off of that gap.
Yeah, it's really tightening up. Kake seems to have found his rhythm now and needs to stick under the rear.
Oh, Daniel, very...
Bala clouded the wall.
Yeah, slow into turn 3. They're going to run almost side by side into turn 4.
Here comes Pedro.
Yeah, look at Picanco in the background there. Daniel needs to not run wide here, suffering maybe with a little bit of understeer. Again, you don't want to keep applying lock when you are understeering. You're just going to scrub the tyres and heat those fronts up even more. But starting to unfold now, a 3-way battle for 6th position. We're on lap 32 of 59 here at South City Long for round number 8.
And at some point, Parapo's just going to have to get around Bala if he wants to have a chance. If he plays with his food too much, to use a term.
That's a great analogy, to be honest.
Yeah, quit playing with your food.
And get on with it. Come on.
Get on. Yeah, you're letting a rival catch you. And if Picanco can get around Perapo and then quickly dispatch a Bala, because those two are so close that Picanco could get an almighty run down the front straight and have him before turn 1.
Picanco's got the pace though as well. He was 4th in qualifying, whereas Yoni Katia was 7th. So about 0.4 of a second separated those two on raw pace in the qualifying session. So if Picanco has track position, you'd say he's arguably the favourite here.
Yeah, for once I got a prediction right on the sim broadcast stream. Picanco has indeed got up before Kake got past, and we have a 3-way battle for 6th position in fact, between some drivers who are in the right at the top of the championship in fact still. So this is an important battle for these guys, as everyone's really bunching up now.
Being close to a battle here is a bit of a double-edged sword, because yeah, you can easily capitalize, but if they have a big enough smash, you're easily involved because you have nowhere to go.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, if Picanco can just keep on the back of these two and harangue them, it's a stop playing with your food, Kake, and get him.
For Sammy Littman, last time around, the fastest lap of the race, a 1 minute 29.64. It looks as though Yoni Katia holds the fastest sector 2 and 3. So Vitatas Lagutskas, after holding the fastest lap in all 3 sectors at one point, as the fuel drops out of the remaining cars on the grid, you can see how much everybody else is improving. Okay, Proper still trying to get past Daniel Bala though. The gap at the line, 0.56. It seems to be fluctuating around about the half-second mark. Okay, can't get close enough to make an overtake. And Picanco, the gap between Picanco and Parapo, a few laps ago, 1.6, now down to 0.7 seconds. Kake needs to get past Daniel before Pedro catches up to these two.
You know that airplane gif of the pilot sweating profusely? That's what I imagine it's like inside Daniel Bala's car right now.
I imagine it's the cyanide and happiness gif with the car, and he's driving around the road screaming.
Ah, yeah. Crunching
Well-
behind the steering wheel.
But you really need to keep in mind that these three are not only battling here on track, but they are also very close to each other in the championship standings. Daniel is in 10th, or entered this round in 10th position. Kaike is in 9th, and Pedro in 7th.
Yeah, so the opposite order on track currently, pretty much. All
The
shuffled
only-
up.
Yeah, the only one missing is Nico Pontola, who entered this round in 8th position and had a really troublesome day here in West London.
Look at Pedro Picanco though. He is closed right up to the back of Kaike Paroppo.
Yeah, it's
He was
official. He's
7
closer
tenths
now to
shy
Kaike
last time around in terms of
than
the
Daniel.
gap.
Yeah.
It is now down to 0.3.
So now
But again,
Pedro
all
needs to
three of
not
these
play with his
cars
food.
separated by about 8 tenths of a second.
I like food too much. I don't play with it. We need to work on the buffet in this commentary box, by the way.
I know.
Pete
Yeah.
keeps eating all the sausage
with,
rolls,
these,
man.
with these longer races, I definitely
nothing
should
left.
plan better and get more food around me because, yeah, just be
Where-
glued to my
where's Chris?
screen.
Where's Chris with the sandwiches?
Yeah, get yourself over here. I want some food.
Get some Jaffa cakes.
Oh, I love a Jaffa cake right now.
So Bala with a 1:31.13, he's the slowest of the three, but because Paroppo doesn't seem to want to get around him yet, he's still in P6.
Picanco just took the hairpin in the wrong gear.
I think he was doing it
That's
not
not
to
right.
wheel spin the rears, maybe suffering with a bit of tyre degradation. That's how I look. It might seem healthy. The worst for wear is, of course, the right rear. Maybe a little bit of the front left as well. Be suffering from some lockups, but you can see that gap has increased ever so slightly. But Kaike's not going anywhere, being stuck behind the race green car of Daniel Ballot. And rightly so, Daniel's doing everything he needs to defend, as Yoni Katia and Vitar Taslagutskas set identical sector 3 times. Matching the fastest split 3 from Katia himself on lap 28. 31.91. As Picanco clouted the left-hand side of turn 1 there, completely on the limit trying to catch these guys up. But Sami Lipmanen, 11.5 seconds short of your race leader, and considerably slower, at least on last lap pace. Vitar Taslagutskas with a 29.87 out ahead. Sami Lipmanen a 30.41, just a bit behind. So again, 6 tenths difference.
One gap that is closing up that we haven't talked about much is that one between Botsi and Jaban, otherwise known as Pauli Peltikangas and Jan Bukowski in this series.
Oh, is Paroppo into the back of Daniel Balla through turn 9 there? Sorry to interrupt.
No,
They're all
good.
checking up. Seems as though Daniel Balla got away with that. Okay, going in a little bit deep. There was contact between Picanco and Paroppo. The gap 0.36 of a second, but Picanco is in a great spot right now to maybe relieve Kaike of 7th position if he keeps the pressure on. Kaike's now dropped back from Daniel Balla a little bit. We'll see how they both fare through turn 11. A little bit of a lockup from both cars, of course, on the absolute limit. No ABS here. Proper with a great exit though.
But it looks like that Kaike is again using his low wing configuration to, well, not allow the catch-up to get into effect that well.
Picanco's going to have to do nigh on the impossible of be close and get a good run out of one of these corners on the long straights.
I think Yoni Katia is catching 2nd position. Yoni purple in sector 2 and sector 3 last time around, sets a personal best, not a race best, just some 9/100th second shy of the race best time. But yeah, taking half a second out of Sami Lipmanen on that lap, the gap down to 7.1 seconds. If it gets any less later on in the race, as we have a car into the pits, it looks like Lutski is in to make his stop. From P15 at the moment.
How you didn't define which Lutski? There are 2 of them. It's Radek.
Yep, Reddit.
As Pavel goes past.
Pavel made his pit stop on lap 26.
Yeah, I think Pavel's a few laps down, isn't he? So, yeah.
But
2
Kaike's
laps
got a
down
bit of a window now. Kaike's eked out half a second on Picanco. Oh, sorry, the gap is up to half a second again after being so close. And the gap to Daniel Ballot now down to 0.4 of a second. So again, Kaike's closer to Daniel than Picanco is to him.
Yeah, Kaike didn't pay Daniel enough. I'm going to keep bringing that out, it's brilliant. Anyway, or Daniel's just turned his force field on at the back of his car, I don't know. Seems like no one can get anywhere near him at the moment. Which is good, this is good pace from Daniel, he's doing everything he needs. Yeah, if the guys behind can't do consistent enough laps to get past, then that's their problem. Come on Kaike, put on a show.
Sand, full sand.
Yeah, maybe not as full send as we saw on lap 2.
Yeah, please don't.
Wasn't great to see, but yeah, we'll certainly want to see some more clean overtakes between these guys. But maybe Propo's starting to think, well, when's Daniel going to pit? Because Kaike will be on good fuel, good tyres, and he'll want the car ahead to just move out of the way. And it doesn't look like it's going to happen for a couple more laps yet.
Would you try the overcut, or would you copy the strategy of the guy in front?
You don't want to do the overcut at South City, I don't think. I think that's I mean, the way that the field is stretched out at the moment, it might not be the worst idea, but I think I personally would always go for as long as possible. Yoni into the pits from P3.
The world-class Lions car from third position, as Pete's just said, into the pit lane. Ooh, changed his mind on what box to approach, so maybe lost about half a second there. Dragging the brakes and then getting back on the powers.
Yes, 4 new boots.
Okay, so he's changed the R2s. We don't know whether everyone will change their fronts, probably. But yeah, so we don't really know why that alternate strategy was chosen by Catilla, but it might be to help him out in the second stint because he's got 20 laps to do on those fresh tyres, and everyone else around him has still to pit.
Ooh, as Yoni clouts the wall on the way out of the pits, is what we were talking about. Seems as though as the track rises up, as it levels out, when you would lose grip, of course, that uphill momentum being thwarted by the track flattening out and moving to the left-hand side meant he clouted the wall. Not very hard, though. A little bit of cosmetic damage to the front right of that car, but a fast stop overall, 17.91 seconds for refuel and all tyres. Bit sideways through the double left-hander of turn 5 and 6 there, just trying to get used to the temperature of his new rubber.
Just to give you a quick update on Pauli Peltogangas and Jan Wikowski, while Jan Wikowski was just within the 1 second window, I think Pauli Peltogangas just found the next gear and pulled away again.
Yeah, he probably looked
now
at
the
his
gap
and thought, I better get a move on.
Yeah, the gap increased now to 1.9 seconds.
Yeah, and yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, increasing.
Yeah, and yeah, he had to get past. Is that Yaroslav? Yeah, Yaroslav Donlik. He had to get past in order to in the last lap at some point. So Jan will hopefully get past Yaroslav fairly quickly as well.
In case anyone's keeping score at home on our rumored attempt at a one-stop, Mr. Sean Lee is currently P9, coming to complete his 39th tour of this South City circuit.
Don't forget that Pedro Picanco also rumoured to be doing that as well. Pedro currently a couple of places ahead of Sean. Go on, Tina.
Oh, Parappa right on the back of Bala, coming out of the tight twisty bit and down the long left hand, sweeping downhill fast run.
He was incredibly close through the double left of 5 and 6, but lost a bit of time having to lift a bit on the exit of 7 as the track drops away from you and widens a bit. But again, Daniel just gets the run neat through 11. Again, Parappa having to lift a little bit at the apex, but these two are slightly pulling away from Picanco, about a tenth a lap. But Parappa definitely hindered by the pace of that race green car. I think he's got a lot more left in the tank, but it's just frustrating because all the opportunities, turn 2, turn 9, turn 12, he just can't get the run out of the prior corner to get enough speed to get even close
This is
to
the
challenge
racing
Daniel.
equivalent of a stalemate, isn't it?
It
Yeah.
is.
So I'm wondering if some of the slower guys went with a lower downforce setup, and that's why they are lightning in the straights compared to some of the faster guys. And it's what's letting them stay ahead because they get a better run out of the corners and are going quite fast.
With the way that Pedro is driving the XRR, if there was any rumour of him going to the end on those tyres,
Yeah, I was going to say.
that car is being thrown
Nutter.
around like a
Yep.
baby's toy.
You could see just out of turn 2 there in the back of the shot, just massive on the power up against the wall and shot straight over to the left because he didn't want to lift. Bit of opposite lock, got that car back in check, but not great for tyre longevity.
Great for the
Very
fans.
close to the wall. Oh, brilliant style points
Yeah.
as well.
I love the smell of burning rubber.
But his tyres will be sat there going, kill me every time.
Yeah, but
Timmy's
when we
going to disagree
think-
with you, Jack.
Yeah.
Just stop, Tim.
No, I just want to bring the first round, our season opener in Blackwood back up, where the Road Appraiser drivers, Pedro Picanco and Teo Jose, both tried the zero stop strategy.
And it cheers for one of them.
Yeah, Pedro finished in 9th position. Had massive pace drops in the last 2 or 3 laps. Lost a couple of seconds to drivers he was battling with. While Teo Jose actually popped one of his tires and had to do a last-minute pit stop 2 or 3 laps from the end. So Pedro did it once this season.
Well, barely.
Barely.
Did he not have a
Yeah,
puncture at the line? Or did he actually make it?
He did actually make it. Probably punctured the car after the finish line, though.
Of our top 3 between turn 4 and 5, exiting turn 4, or not our top 3, don't mind me. Our 3 cars battling for 6, 5, 6, 7 right now. Bala and Parapo just clouded the wall exiting 4.
We just had no take
And-
for position, by the way. Sorry, carry on.
Oh,
Yaroslav just got past Pavel Lutsky. Pavel Lutsky looks like he's got heavy front right damage. Yaroslav just got past. Sorry, back to you.
but through exiting turn 4, Bala and Parapo both decided they'd hip check the wall drivers left, and Picanco did not. Unfortunately, Picanco was unable to capitalize on such.
Yeah, he seemed to close up as well, all the way up turn 11. Picanco a bit tight into 11, made him wash out to the exit a little bit earlier.
Vidoviarts has made his stop, by the way, for all you Conquest Racing fans out there. He rejoins at pit exit in P11. Yari Cotillo just got past him.
I wonder out of the 3-car battle that we've got, as Pedro goes very deep into turn 2, who's going to blink first? Is the undercut worth it? Would you want to stop earlier? Is Kaike waiting for Daniel Bala to blink so that he can, pit maybe just a lap after and have the in-lap of a lifetime to try and
I
get
don't know
race
about
position or
blink,
track
but
position?
maybe pass out with either dehydration or sweat or something else. He seems to be holding his own right now, so I'm only messing, Daniel, if you watch this back. You're doing a great job. I don't know. I think Daniel should try and go as long as he can, obviously. I mean, in certain respects, with these sorts of races, because it's only 90 minutes, your strategy is set from the beginning. That was close.
Thalo,
I have no words, but go ahead.
Thalo and Jack, were your expressions of shock and disbelief
Oh,
at our leader's lap?
Just tell the guys what that lap time
Fastest
was,
lap
because I'm going to
reset
fall out my
by
chair.
I think Thilo and
I mean,
Jack are
I don't know
having
what happened
a
either, so... please advise me.
Vitalis Lagauskas on his most recent lap resets the fastest lap with a 1 minute 29.50.
That is 3.7 tenths faster than qualifying. As Daniel Bala blinks first into the pit lane,
Well,
goes
Ticanco's
the race
also in
green
pits.
Autosport car. So Picanco and Parapo now go as fast as they possibly can until whenever they stop.
This is important for Daniel now. He needs to. We're interested to see what sort of strategy he's going for here. Obviously, well, we will believe now then that Parapo and Picanco have more fuel on board, so Daniel will put more fuel in.
And Daniel with a very, very fast stop. Not the greatest escape, but
Tyres
only
only.
took tyres. Meant he stopped for only 14.2 seconds. And just to put that into context, Yoni Katia, when he pitted earlier on, was a 17.91 second stop. Adobe, as Daniel Ballard's into the wall on the pit
Race leaders
exit,
in the pit
huge
lane.
damage.
Race leader in the pit lane.
So Daniel Ballard, it all came undone. He's on the overpass now, and you can see the damage on the car.
No, that's a disaster.
Huge damage, and we were saying that people could get caught out by cold tyres and just the way the track elevates up and to the
Oh,
left.
no.
Leader and
Tesla Gutskas
Sammy
into the pit
the
lane,
pits.
followed by Sammy Littman, and in P2. Absolute disaster for Daniel Ballard. He's going to carry that damage to the end of the
Sammy
race.
Littman
And
in
it's
also,
quite
by the way.
significant on the right side of his car.
Here comes Jan Wikowski, guys.
And he is staying on the track for an extra lap.
Yeah, but he's not going to get past...
He is.
He is going
He
to
is
get
gonna
past
pass
Tesla
Gutskas.
Gutskas got to
Gutskas.
slow down.
Yeah, Gutskas obviously not at full tilt. Jan Mikowski doing 240 kilometers an hour at the apex turn 1, whilst Tesla Gutskas has got to navigate that narrow pit lane that caught Daniel Ballard out just a few moments ago. So Jan
terrible
Mikowski is
for Daniel
your
there.
race leader at the moment, only by about 3 seconds to Tesla Gutskas, who has indeed stopped.
Will Daniel have to pit? Is that damage big enough that he's going to have to come into the pits?
He's got a
already?
full lap to size it up. Got quite significant upper and lower control arm damage on both
Is it
the
crabbing?
front
Looks
and
like it's
rear
crabbing.
right.
Oh, that
Yeah,
right
we're
rear,
hearing that
that's
the right rear
ruined.
toe is pretty bad. The front right toe is also out a few pixels, but maybe not enough to hinder him too much. He does indeed stay out, though. He's going to carry
he
this
has to,
damage to
doesn't
the
he?
end of the race.
It's all how it handles turn 1.
Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
a fast right.
Well, he hasn't done this yet, has he?
No, this is the real test he's got to do.
That's the
Looks nice and planted, at least.
Yeah.
Didn't
He might-
see a lift at all.
He might do a whole timed lap to see what happens to his pace, to see if it's worth the fix or not.
Well, it will be telling on the straight to see whether he has to put any lock on to make it go in a straight line. I don't think he's got any... Has he got any front geometry damage? He's having to work quite hard to get it turned in there, isn't he? This is bad because it means that Kaike Propo and Pedro Picanco are now on 3 laps. They've got less fuel. Daniel's got a damaged car, so it's looking very unlikely that Daniel's going to take over the lead unless... retain the lead of that battle unless the others do something similar or add fuel. We will see as Daniel Ballard now heads onto the back straight here at South City Long. Let's see what that geometry is like. He has to put... Yeah, he has to put quite a little bit of lock on that car to make it go in a straight line, so that's not going to be comfortable to drive.
It's about
Maybe
3 or
this
4
race.
degrees. He'll
Yeah.
feel that.
So, when will Kaike Propo come in? When will Pedro Picanco come in? These two are still together. The gap has
Somewhat,
opened up
anyway.
slightly.
1.3 seconds is Picanco's deficit to Kaike Propo, so it's about 2 or 3, well, within 2 or 3 tenths of where it was when they were battling for the majority of the time they were out on track together, with Daniel Ballard at the head of that trio.
Indeed. And don't forget that the battle between Joni Katila and Jan Wikowski could very much come alive right now because Jan is still out on track. He has not pitted yet. Joni pitted a long time ago, and Jan will have the tyre and fuel advantage right now as he goes past for another lap. For those of you just joining us, welcome to round number 8 of the Buggyra 0- GT Cup. 8 of 10 rounds. We're coming to the end of the series now, but still plenty of great racing action to come. We have a battle on for P14. Tilo, take us away.
Yeah, in 14th position, Bob Vincent is now heavily looking into his mirrors to see this bright pink car of Jaroslav Donalik.
Pavel Lutsky in the background there.
Oh, into the inside! With a bit of rubbing. Radek Ditsky going through as well.
Yeah, that's to
and-
unlap it. That's a lapping, isn't it?
Yeah,
He's
keep
ahead
an eye
of
on
the
Yaroslav
Jaroslav
Kaike
Donalik, though, because
Propo
Kaike
and-
Propo's in the middle of this mix here. The red, blue, and a slight bit of yellow Energy Virtual Racing car. Yaroslav will have the blue flag notification on his screen, and Kaike currently in 4th position. pulling away a little bit from Pedro Picanco with the traffic. Yaroslav Joanlik
Gets way out of the way.
moves on to the left-hand side of the track to let him, Kake Propo and Pedro Picanco through at the apex of turn 9. But yeah, Propo very lucky with the traffic. Not necessarily saying Picanco was unlucky, but that gap still remains at about 1.3 seconds.
Jan Bukowski.
So Vitatas Lagutskas has taken the lead on track.
They're on
Of course,
different
he has
strategies.
stopped as well.
Yeah.
Jan on older tyres and low fuel. Vitatas Lagutskas a bit heavier, as he has stopped and has got fresh rubber. Jan at the moment looks to be struggling to keep the temperature in the core of the tyre. Really, the only temperature in that tyre is on the inside sidewall of all 4 corners of that car. He's going to want to come into the pits very soon. And of course, you know, very low speed corners here at South City. You rely on the mechanical grip of the car. It's just hard to get the temperature into the car because there's not really many opportunities for you to, you know, get on the power, because you're just limited by the concrete walls and the barriers either side of the track. So Vitatas Lagutskas already pulled about a second on Jan Bukowski, who is yet to stop. Sami Litmanen currently in 3rd position, some 9 seconds down the road, but again he has stopped as well.
As he makes his way there past, was that Vadoviarts? Yes. There are 2 Conquest Racing machines in this race, one of which is being piloted by Jan Bukowski, and the other by
an update.
President
Sorry,
Vadoviarts. That's all right.
An update to our no stopper. He did make a pit stop, so Mr. Sean Lee has abandoned the no stop strategy.
I mean, I'm not sad or disappointed. I'm glad he's done it, because I think it would have been a stretch and it would have ruined his race, I think.
Yeah,
And he's rejoining the track right in front of President Vdoyats, it looks like.
It could be close.
Yeah, Jan Bukowski, Kake and Picanco yet to stop in the top 5, still remain on track. We are now on lap 49 of 59, so just 11 to go. This and 10 more. The gap between Picanco and Piropo to 1.5 seconds now, so again fluctuating within about 2 or 3 tenths of that 1.5 second mark. Who's going to go into the pits first though?
They're leaving it pretty late, aren't they? I mean, it's 10 laps to go. Daniel is, I'm not sure if you guys have been keeping an eye on his lap times, but I'm imagining they're quite a bit slower than these guys, right?
Yeah, Daniel's last time around a 131.81. These two still 131.49 and 131.58 for Piropo and Picanco. So again, a couple tenths faster. Again, Daniel is a bit heavier, as he has stopped for fuel and will probably be dealing with a bit of...
Just put tyres, so he had the fuel he needed to finish the race. So yeah, it just depends whether these guys are running less fuel. That is literally Daniel's only chance to retain.
I think Daniel took tyres only.
He just took tyres, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wonder if these guys will take fuel either. They only have 9 laps to make their stop if they're going to make one. Depends whether they think their tyres can go to the end, I suppose.
And Piropo stays out, Picanco too.
Our man in our ears, Elmo, is telling us that both the rear tyres on each of these cars are looking mighty thin.
Yeah, very, very similar in terms of tyre wear, but it just seems as though Picanco is able to keep a little bit more temperature in than Piropo. Not much though, a couple degrees in it.
Shouldn't really call you the man in our ears, should we? He's a regular sized person. Anyway, Piropo through the bus stop. Those rear tyres must be feeling it now. But yeah, he is managing to pull away from Pedro, so unless Pedro's just really hit the cliff and just can't really control the rear of this car as well as he could at the beginning.
The gap's up to 1.99 seconds at the end of
so
sector 1.
Daniel might be able to get ahead of Pedro.
He set respectable times at the moment. Yeah. Last time, not the ideal lap time, a 1:32 dead. Some 4 tenths shy of Picanco's lap, some 6 tenths shy of Piropo's lap. But Kake Piropo in 4th position at the moment, eking that gap out a little bit more. Really choose to come into the pit lane this time around. These guys on lap 50 of 59. Akaike stays out. Picanco does too. They join the leader on lap 51 now as they cross the line.
What would you reckon is the point of no return? I mean, if someone chooses to pit that late, most of his second tire stint will be in the middle of the heat peak, wouldn't it?
It would indeed, and if they can eke it out long enough. I mean, if you're like 2 or 3 laps to go, I mean, what is a pit stop here? You lose around about, well, you're stationary for maybe 15, 16 seconds. You'd lose 5 or 6 on the way in, if not more. You lose about 7 or 8 seconds on the way out with the pit lane being so narrow. So you can say it's just about 30 seconds to stop. If these guys can get as close to the checkered flag as possible, even if they get a puncture and have to nurse it around the last lap, would it be faster than stopping?
Japan hasn't been in the pits yet either, right?
Correct.
Stopped
Not yet.
What
Nope.
are his tyres like? Can we get some
black
data on
brown.
that?
They're
Thanks, Jofi.
that's what I was doing just.
I'm
while I-
glad. I'm
They're,
glad.
they're freezing
they're
cold.
quite chilly.
Yeah, but
they
they
just
look
come in
as
low on
healthy as Kaike and Picanco's tyres, to be fair.
Okay. So with 8
He's
laps
just
to
got
go,
a lot more track position though, because he's 11 seconds up the
Yeah, of
road
course.
from.
Oh! Vidoviat's lost it, battling with Sean Lee.
my
That's
ears
for
hurt
10th
now.
position.
Sorry, and Kaike Pirapo is now
my ears.
going through the gap.
That's lapping though. Yeah, Doviat's quite way behind. So was it Sean Lee you said that the incident was between?
Sean Lee was ahead, Vidoviat tried to follow in and lost it.
Okay.
Yeah, Sean Lee just round in turn 2 now. Vidoviat's just braking to approach turn 2 now, so I think they're separated by around about 6.7 seconds from being side by side.
Looking at the boots for Pirapo and Picanco,
Uh-huh.
the middle part of the tire for Pirapo is quite thin, quite cold, so now it's getting hard to tell the difference. The middle and the
Let's get your ruler out.
outside shoulder is. I need something even smaller than that. It's gonna be sketchy if Pirapo can make another full lap. And if he tries to go another lap and hard load turn 1, if that thing goes, he's gone.
Yeah.
That's
Could see what happens to Isaac. Could be a car on its roof at the end of a 50-something lap race. Pirapo's been heavy into the wall at least once on this lap that I've seen. Sorry, Picanco. He's not been kind on his tyres. Out of these drivers, I think Picanco has been the least kind by the looks of it. But he stays out for another lap. So having,
I mean, I think Pirapo and Picanco's tyres look dead even in terms of wear, but I think, yeah,
They're gonna
like you're
make it,
saying, I
though.
think Picanco's a little bit more aggressive. He's able to keep it
7 more laps.
4 degrees
I
more
don't-
temperature into them.
I mean,
By the
And
way,
Mikowski too still stays out on this lap as well.
By
Retains
the
second
way,
place, some 3 seconds up the road from Sammy Littman and 7
Yes.
seconds down from the race leader.
gone too low.
and Jan Wikowski is 1 second a lap slower than Sami Littman. The last 3 laps, he lost 3 seconds.
Yeah, Sammy's
Yeah.
not that far behind.
Yeah, Sammy Littman last time 130.4, Jan Mikowski 131.4. Sammy's going to be closing right up to the back of him. But Jan, if he can eke ties out to the end, will be within a shot of a podium position. Of course, the guys closest to the podium at the moment, Pirapo and Picanco, both in the same situation as Jan, not stopped yet, similar tyre wear. But again, some 13 seconds down the road.
Just comparing tires between Pirapo and Picanco, I think Picanco has just a touch more tread left. And I think Pirapo's more on the edge.
Ooh, and Pirapo is a bit slidey through turn 12 there. You can see him kicking the rear out a little bit mid-apex as he tried to get on the power to exit.
I mean,
Picanco is aided by the Conquest racing car of Vadoviat's for a little bit, so he can potentially use that lap traffic as a little bit of a breaker.
And both Piroppo and Picanco have Yanni Katia bearing down
Yeah.
on. Yanni Katia
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
right
He's
on the back
he's
bumper.
less than a second away from Picanco. Is
He
Yanni
stopped
Katia?
though. So
He did
this-
indeed.
Yeah.
I mean, having been so scathing and sceptical of this zero stop strategy at the beginning of the race, I might have to swallow my words again, because
Well,
if they pull this off,
Yanni's at 1.4 seconds a lap faster than these two. Last time around, Yanni was in the 1 minute 30, so 30.34. Picanco, a 1 minute 31.8.
yeah,
So 1.5 seconds advantage last lap as the world-class Lions car in 6th position, right on the tail of that Road Appraiser car as we approach turn 9. Oh, Yanni, massive lockup.
The handbrake
Spin
The
off.
car wanted to
Spooked.
snap.
yeah.
Managed to get it slowed down though.
There's
as
a train of
Vadoviats
cars,
is
he needs to be
getting in the
patient
way
here,
here.
yeah.
Vadoviats needs to move out of the way.
Oh, it's
Picanco
gone!
into the
It's
wall.
gone! Big
Goes
shot! Big
round
shot!
and-
Oh, and then Piroppo lost the right rear. Piroppo lost the right rear. That's what happened. It
Yep.
popped going to the left. And on load, it popped, and it slowed him down. Picanco had nowhere to go.
huge front
Vallier's
right.
had nowhere to go.
Huge front
And
right
it's all
damage.
gone from there.
So yes. So it looks as though Piroppo again caught out by that puncture meant
Yeah.
that the lapped car of Vadoviats was really nowhere to go apart from into the back of the Energy Virtual Racing car. But Picanco didn't help that.
So I'm hearing. So yeah, Picanco pushing the back marker.
But the back marker again trying to check up because of Piroppo's right rear puncture. Piroppo into the pits, but Yanni Katia again only had to lift a little bit. It seemed that they parted like the Red Sea when they had their incident, and Yanni had to just check up a little bit and was straight through.
Picanco's still out on those tyres, guys.
And Jan Bukowski
That's
too still out as he enters
There are
turn
5
9.
laps remaining.
This is just getting touch and go. I mean, that was the worst possible time for Piroppo's
Yep.
tyre to go, with
And
all that
Piroppo's
traffic behind
tyres-
him into that corner. Oh,
Piroppo's rear right wear was very
Brutal.
similar to Jan Bukowski, and Jan's looking after his tyres a little bit more. I can tell from riding on board with him for a little bit that he's very cautious on the exit of corners,
I don't
trying
think
not
it
to
matters.
spin those tyres. Yeah, but
It's
again,
gotta be
even if
in.
he is taking his time,
yeah.
the wear
Lippmann
level
in
is still the same.
less
And
than a
once it
second
crosses
behind.
that threshold,
Yeah, here
he's
comes
going to
Lippmann.
lose out. So
Yeah.
Lippmann are now again 0.83 of a second behind at the last split. Would be around about half a second now, as the gap is updated. 0.51 is the exact gap, and Sami Lippmann last time around 1.2 seconds faster than Jan Bukowski. He is well within reason to take this position away on this lap. So keep an eye on Jan Bukowski's corner exit, because that is where Sami Lippmann is going to gain the most traction and track position on the car ahead. This is, of course, the battle for second position. Sami does not have to be careful when getting on the power, of course. His tyres are going to be a lot warmer, fresher tyres, going through the heat peak of the tyres at the moment. So again, he's going to be careful of the wheel spin, but Jan Bukowski, literally, there's a couple pixels of wear left on that rear right. He's got to be incredibly careful as to not induce a puncture.
Yeah, Sammy does not have to risk anything here other than staying out of the way of potentially a spinning car that's lost a tyre ahead of him. Jan just needs to nurse that car home. I cannot believe that some drivers have decided to try this zero stop. I'll be absolutely amazed if it works. At South City, wow.
Jan's rear right tyre is looking very, very thin. The inside of that right rear.
I don't have any faith. I do not have any faith today.
I want to have faith, but I don't want to be you and be a curse.
I'll show myself out.
Well, if
I
it's
just
not
want to
you,
know
it's
if somebody
Adam.
could.
I'd rather it not be me.
We need to go to a separate room and let these guys.
Sam-
Lippmann and easily
side by
dispatching
side now.
Bukowski through
Yeah,
turn
Bukowski
1.
braking a little bit earlier. Doesn't want to use the full potential of those tyres. Work them to the limit through turn 1. He cannot afford that. At the moment, he's 20 seconds clear of Yanni Katia. So that's the gap he's got to, well, the delta really he's got to keep to in order to retain that last step on the podium. And it's gone. The front right's gone on Jan Bukowski's car. The front right.
Oh, that's
He's
going to be
gonna
horrible
suffer
limping that.
I mean,
back.
massively for the
Look at
remainder of this
now.
lap.
Yeah, it's just so much of a risk. He's now got the whole lap with the damaged car to try and get back to the pits,
And
then
he's
he's
got
going
to
to lose
stop.
all that time. Oh, here we go. Into the wall. Yeah.
He's going to lose that right rear as well before the lap's out. I
Picanco
did not
needs
think
to-
that the front right
That's
would go
gonna be
before the
horrid.
rear right, but it has done.
Picanco's got to do the right thing and pit this lap. With all these cars falling off around him.
And Jan's going to suffer so much in the long braking zones. You
Oh.
can see him struggling to get it turned in and slowed down for the right-hander that is turn 9. He's going to be okay through the right-hander of turn 10 now, but again through 11 now, the long left-hander where all the weight is on the right-hand side of the car, right where that puncture is. He's going to have a monumental task to get this car slowed down and around turn 12. Almost 180-degree left-hander coming up.
Yeah, it could be due to locking up the tyre.
He's
in
only
the same
braking
place.
30 metres shy of where he would normally. You
Yeah.
see just how much it's hindered him. Again, he's got to try and get on the power now without popping that right rear, and not only get it slowed down, he's got to not get a stop-go or any penalty whatsoever in the pit lane. He needs to get that car slowed right down well before the line. You can see he's doing that.
So Jan Wikowski comes into the pits on lap 58 or lap 57.
Through
yeah.
goes Yoni Katia.
Yeah.
And Pelter just behind. Where is Picanco?
Last corner.
Is in the final corner now.
I mean, he's got 2 laps left. What does he do? Does he come in and pit, or does he just think, heck, may as well finish it? He's going through it. This is crazy.
This is. He's got 21 seconds
And
right
Piroppo
now
stopped as well. I didn't realise.
on.
Yeah, Propo had
On
to. He had a
Bala.
puncture.
Of course he did.
Jan
Yeah.
Wikowski
Where have I
leaves the
been?
pits
I've been
now.
in this box, right?
Where have you been?
Wikowski is out of the pit line, and to add insult to injury, he
Picanco's.
stalled the car.
Oh no.
How?
How?
Don't know. The car
That-
was suddenly.
That shouldn't be
Oh.
possible.
So at the moment, Pedro Picanco in 5th position is the only car on the grid that hasn't stopped so far in this
Wow.
90-minute, 59
Just
lap
keep in
endurance
mind,
race.
our race leader has just started his 59th and final lap. The consideration is if Picanco can get to the flag, he is fairly secure in P5. He may lose it to Wikowski, because Wikowski will be able to click off 129 and 130 laps, and Picanco is down to 133s, 134s. Daniel Bala is in 7th, just behind Wikowski, 20 seconds behind Picanco. So if he can at least pip Bala to the line, that's a gain for Picanco. So he's got to do now another lap.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
all he has to do.
Yeah, and this is just on the news that this battle was for. Daniel Bala, obviously because Kaike popped his tyre, Daniel does get ahead of Piroppo. So if Picanco were to have a puncture this lap, I think he'd manage to get it round in time to maintain
And
that
if
position.
any of those tyres are going to go, it's going to be either the right rear or the front left.
I mean, this is
Weirdly
amazing.
enough, the front right is not suffering too much. So whether he's just, I don't know, maybe he's picked a flat spot up on the front left and he's just grabbing that patch of the tyre every time he tries to brake.
We will find out
Oh,
soon, Jack.
Considering
Yes,
this car
yeah,
is
because
an
Lagutskas,
anti-clockwise track is
Yep,
weird.
race
Gas.
leader
Yeah.
Vitalis Laguskas on the pit straight.
he's going to come across the line to take the win in race 2 and wins round 8 of the Buggyra Zero Mileage GT Cup. Congratulations to Vitalis Lagutskas, who drove a pretty much flawless race, besides getting in a bit of a tangle with Isaac Price early on. We didn't really see him that much. He just drove away at the front. Sammy Lippinen crossed the line in P2. Then following him, bit of a gap, I suppose. Bit of a wait.
Picanco making it onto the motorway just fine in P5. Just has
There comes
the
Johnny
hard left, hard left-hander of
Pauli Peltokangas.
final corner goes. We'll see if this no-stop strategy can work.
Joni Casilla takes the 3rd and final podium position. Botsi in P4.
Huge slide for Pedro out of the final corner, but
I can't
again,
believe it.
makes it
I
work
can't
with
believe
the
it.
zero-stop strategy.
How
Well,
do you
cross
like your
the-
crow, Pete?
Fair play, fair play to Pedro Picanco. He drove that car like it was.
Yeah, and as soon as he pulled the handbrake
On
across
ice.
the line, both of the rears popped. Both of the rears
Oh
popped.
wow! So he
In turn
perfectly
one.
judged it.
Obviously,
Race
he
green
didn't buy
Daniel
that
Bala coming
handbrake
across the
turn.
line now
Pedro
to finish 7th.
Picanco, P5 ahead of Jan Wikowski. Can you believe it? After all that, Pedro Picanco managed to get around without a stop and beat Jan Bukowski, who had to stop because he got a puncture. Mental.
By 2 seconds.
Well done to
And-
Daniel Balla as well there, staying ahead of Piroppo, deciding to not risk the tyres. Picks up P7. Kaike Piroppo P8 after that dramatic crash at the turn 11 a few laps ago. That was something to behold. Then it's Sean Lee, well driven in P9. Couldn't make the tyres last. In fact, he came in nearly, about 15 or 20 laps to the end, something like that. Then it's
about
Radek
12 laps
Lutsky.
to the end.
Radek Lutsky in P10. Conquest Racing, President Bedoviarts in P11. World Class Lines, Jari Katela P12. Fragmasters, Daniel Lekastik in P13. Yaroslav Donnelly P14. Then it's Bob Vincent P15. And Viaduct Czech Racing, Pavel Lutsky rounds out the 16 finishers in race 2 of the 20 or so that started. Well,
What
it
a
was
race.
a race of attrition, but that was... We didn't stop, did we? That was brilliant.
I love the sense of humour by the race director though, opening chat after everybody had crossed the start finish line. Congratulations, survivors.
Wow, yeah. There you can see our podium finishers lining up on the start finish line. In the middle, you've got Vitalis Lagutskas for Last Lap Motorsports with a fastest lap of 1 minute 29 seconds and a half, which is some feat. To his right, you've got Yannick Tiller in P3 and Sami Lipman in P2.
Vitalis also fastest in 2 of the 3 sectors on the lap. Holds the fastest Sector 1 and Sector 3. Yannick Tiller showing his pace. Not quite able to make it into second position. Looks to be 20 seconds down on second position after 90 minutes of racing. But a fantastic effort to get onto the podium.
I razzing Picanco a bit in the chat after the race. I offer to him that he's a bit mental. His response, "I'm just stupid." Then my response, "But did you die?" And he didn't. So he still
until he braked
could he have gotten
after start
third
finish.
or fourth, maybe, but.
Apparently, Daniel Lekastik also didn't change for tyres. Sorry, didn't change tyres, but did stop for damage. So
Yeah, he was in the pits very early on.
yeah, it must have been.
He was starting from pole position.
Oh, of course he
and-
was. God, it feels like
Had-
ages ago.
Yeah, it is.
What year is it?
Yeah. Fabulous stuff. Yeah, if you overlook the beginning. But anyway, we've had fun. I hope the drivers did. I hope you have had fun watching. We will give the drivers a couple of minutes to see whether they want to come on to say hi to us, but if not, no worries. Yeah, let's think ahead to the final 2 rounds, gents, and what these drivers have got to do to wrap up this championship.
Yeah, round 9, we're at Kyoto GP Long, so we'll see how the drivers fare there. And for round number 10, a bit further into the calendar, of course, 1st of November, we are at Aston Grand Touring.
So pretty long tracks coming up for the final 2 races. So also pretty long sprint races compared to, for example, the sprint races at Blackwood.
And they're both very, very setup compromised tracks, because both Kyoto Grand Prix Long and Aston Grand Touring have a couple tight, twisty bits, but lots of long, fast straights. So there's going to be a compromise needed to be rendered between, do you want high downforce to be fast, or higher downforce to be faster through the sweeping fast turns, or do you compromise those turns for a faster run down the straight?
Plenty of strategy options.
We
Available.
saw the setup differences today
Exactly,
alone
yeah.
with the straight line speed. Of course, with South City being a notoriously quite, it's almost the Monaco of Live for Speed, with the margins being so close and the majority of the corners being low speed and relying on mechanical grip more than aerodynamic grip. When we saw the difference down the straight here, it's going to be even more pronounced in round 9 and round 10. So again, we'll see how that unfolds on the day. But yeah, final thoughts for this race, Vince. I mean, apart from the little bit of carnage that we saw at the start, I think we saw as clean of a race as we were going to see. And yeah, it's a shame that we lost Isaac Price a couple laps in, but Vitalsas Lagutskis just keeps setting that bar even higher. First, won by 12.5 seconds, set the fastest lap of the race. You cannot knock this man.
I haven't got anything else to add to Vitalsas Lagutskis' performance, but some drivers who deserve a standout mention. Pedro Picanco, he's been there or thereabouts in some of the races this season, but a really good finish, solid finish for him in P4. Can't ignore the fact that Pedro managed to get P5 after that crazy strategy. Jan Bukowski unlucky in the end to not manage to keep his tyres alive. In the end, I think his pace was just a bit too fast for the tyres, and maybe Pedro paced it a bit better. Also, yeah, Daniel Balla, really strong effort, managed to keep Propo and Picanco behind him for most of the race. Unfortunately, got the pit exit a little bit wrong. We didn't quite catch it on camera, but yeah, managed to keep the car ahead of Propo and stole P7. So really strong finish for a driver who started the series in Grid 2. Really good. So it doesn't look like we've got anyone coming to join us for an interview. Sad faces. However,
I'll cry.
we have West Hill. Jack, take it away. I am sorry.
So just to let you know where we are next time we broadcast on Tuesday, the 15th of September, 7 p.m. UTC, of course, we'll be bringing you a live coverage of Team Rock Racing Championship 2020, round number 34 from West Hill National in the XRG. A week later than that, we are, of course, live again for round number 35 of the Team Rock Racing Championship the following Tuesday at the exact same time, 7 p.m. UTC at Kyoto National in the FO8. So, you know, TRR, switch it up every single time with the combinations. The next two rounds will be something to look out for. So, yeah, thank you for joining us for the coverage of round 8 of the Buggyra Zero Mileage GT Cup.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining me in the commentary box. We've been Jack Hare, Tila Parkenbrook, Jonathan Palmer, and myself, Peter Butcher. It's been good fun. We have to thank our sponsors, Buggyra Zero Mileage and 301.cz, also Excalibur Army, Slovak Training Academy, Eldis, VAG Logistics Services, K-Tech, Newtrend, A-Track, GC System, and Yordak for putting on this fantastic competition that we've all been enjoying for quite a number of months now. But it really is coming to the end now because we only have 2 rounds left before the champion is crowned and the prizes are sent out. And
yeah, huge season.
Yeah.
I think round 1 was in April. So yeah, April to November, with the finale being on November 1st, of course, at 6 o'clock UTC. Tune in for that. Of course, we've got round 9 to come before that.
Yeah, from Kyoto Long, as you mentioned, on Sunday the 4th of October, and the finale all the way in November, can you believe, on Sunday the 1st. It's been great to see the drivers out today having fun on South City, the Titan Twisty circuit in Live for Speed. And unless anyone else has anything to say, I think I'll wrap it up. Thanks.
I just want to say thanks for the viewers for tuning in. Every time we go live, it's nice to see that again, the same familiar faces in chat, and hope to see you next time.
Good night, folks.